Well, good morning there, Ocean. Oh, there you go. That's a good morning sound.
I've gone southern. I've gone western, so I don't have the trumpet anymore. I have the rooster. I
Oh,
noticed we don't have a thread already.
I'm just you talking about the nest?
Well, the thread like down in the corner, like there's
Oh,
a
I'm
little.
setting it all up right now, Ocean.
Okay.
You literally just jumped right in. It takes me a second to I gotta so basically when I start up the space, I start it on my laptop, but then I have to open it up on the cell phone to make the purple pill grow. There it is. Ta-da!
Why do you have to be extra with it? What is
I
this?
have no idea. For whatever reason, when I open it up on the laptop, the purple pill doesn't show up.
Never used to be like that. And that happened in Logan's space too. I don't know. It's just weird. Why does that happen? And it's funny because his last space that he held, somebody was like, "You're not going to be able to start it." Mwah. And then he actually did have problems. So it makes me wonder if there's some type of like what's the word?
Nefarious
Weakness,
folk.
vulnerability that Twitter doesn't know about, and someone's like using this vulnerability to like affect people's spaces.
It's a good question. I am not entirely sure, but I'm just loading up the nest right now. How's your day going?
Oh, we're doing good. We're at school. It's minus 25.
I was just going to ask
Celsius.
you what the temperature was. You read my mind.
It's, yeah, it's very, very cold. The
Uh-huh.
drive to school was very cold, but
Yeah, we were at like minus 15 yesterday, but I think it's going up to 12, which should like that's like a noticeable difference at this point when that happens. It always makes me laugh when you go from like minus 15 to plus 20 because then like plus 20 you're like, oh, it's fucking hot out.
yeah, people don't realize like when you go this far north, like northern Alberta and like
Hmm.
probably where you are, that like in the spring you'll have like yeah, minus like below freezing temperatures overnight, and then during the day everything will like warm up and start to thaw and it'll be like plus 15, so like 15, 20 degrees above freezing
Hmm.
and then dip back like below again is crazy.
It was like when I did my year at South Pole, I got like acclimated to like minus 100. So then when we got to the coastline back at the McMurdo station, where it was like minus 30, minus 20, and I was outside with no jacket on. Just, and the new people coming into the program in all of their cold weather gear were just looking at us like we were lunatics. It was funny.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel when I go home, like to the coast of BC, because it's like, but it's like drizzly, but it's above zero. And I'm like, hey guys, it's not frozen. Like, we can be outside.
Uh huh.
People are like, why do you want to be outside? I'm like, it's water right now. This is
Yes.
great.
Yes, exactly. That was what I was doing at McMurdo when I got out was like the way that the sun was, there was enough like radiant heat that like there was like some water trickling down the side of the buildings in some spots and it was just like, whoa, water's flowing outside. I haven't seen that in a year.
Yeah, the sound of dripping from the gutters in the spring is so nice. I'm
Hmm.
like, but you know what? We also have like a winter, they call it river breakup. So like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
river is frozen, and then as it thaws, like it's very dangerous. And then so they call it the river breakup time, where people have to go and like guard the river, and they put up these like big like balloons full of water because it's flooded before. My house flooded.
Hmm.
Because the river didn't break up properly, right?
Hmm.
And it backed up and it was terrible.
Hmm. Yeah, even up here in Alaska, just the springtime they call breakup, like when just like the streets and everything start thawing and, you know, it's breakup season, they call it. But I also think that has something to do with winter relationships. People have a tendency to shack up and get a partner for the winter months, and then, then they break up in the springtime and everybody goes out and is
Yeah,
single.
then it's snagging season. In the summer is snagging season, and then winter is jacking up season, baby. That's how it works.
Yeah,
No one wants to be out there dating in this cold. We're supposed to be cozy and warm.
yep. Finding somebody to Netflix and chill with. Like, hey, baby, what are you doing on that couch all by yourself this winter?
You literally do have to cuddle to stay warm sometimes. It gets fucking cold, dude. It does. It gets so cold. I see we got some travelers from the other space joining us here. I
Nice.
tried to commandeer that other space to take control of it, but it
There you
didn't
go.
work. It
Nice.
didn't work. Yeah.
So then you used your cowboy outfit to corral everyone over here.
But yeah, it kind of got taken over by a Scotsman, and then Augustus was MIA. So I'm like, you know what? This is fine. We're gonna come over here now.
Well, thank you kindly. I appreciate it. Everybody's welcome in Coffee Talk. At least to come in the door and, you know, see if you can hang out. This is a fun space because we have regular conversations without all of the lunacy. I do let people up. I give people a chance. But if they're scumbags, I know how to take the trash to the curb.
And we love that about you, for sure. I
Oh,
use you as an example often as someone who isn't necessarily friends with everyone, but who, in my eyes, has good intent, and the mission is true of trying to find the truth. And so I use you as an example. I think you're the perfect example of like you don't have to be nice to people, especially if they don't deserve it, if they're being jerks to you. And I love that you host your space, you let people come in, shoot their shot if they're gonna be authentic, or if they're going to try to sell you a book, you're going to call them out on the fact that they keep talking about their
thank
book.
you. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think of that as like coattail riders or whatever. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's weird. That does happen. Like people just show up and they're like, my website, my book. And you're like, oh my goodness. Like, who asked? How's that
well,
relative to what we're discussing?
I do have one friend. She's a girl. She's been through a lot on here, and I know that she had an interaction with you that wasn't the most pleasant for her.
Uh huh.
And that made her sad. And I was like, oh no. And I tried to explain that, like, I don't know. I'm sure if you guys talked more, you would like her a lot because
It's
she's
possible for sure.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but I also said that like this environment is hard. That like you have a lot of people come up and try to fucking. I popped in the room. I mentioned the book because I popped in the room one day and there was this chick trying to sell her book.
mhm.
So that's what I thought of when she said that too. I'm like, dude, he's probably just, having that reaction because it's people on the internet. It's not you as a person,
Oh,
right? So.
absolutely. I tell folks that all the time. Like, I'm not attacking people personally, but it's the stuff that's coming out of their mouth. Like, I'm even just looking in the room here. Like, I've never met anybody that's in the space right now in real life. So, like, what do I know of any of these people? The only thing that I can judge anybody on in the space is what they say.
And their behavior over time. I know a
Hmm.
lot of people, like this one friend of mine, but other people too, like they have a lot to share. And especially if they've been through an experience or trauma, it's almost like it's just a lot all at once. And it can feel a lot like, oh, what are you trying to, it's a bit much for like a first meeting someone. So I can totally understand yeah, it's like sometimes better to just chill and
Hmm.
talk and work, build a relationship that way instead of like all at once. But yeah, when you're dealing with trauma and like fucked up things in real life, like I totally get that behavior, but
Hmm.
still, it's still hard to accept sometimes, right? Or you don't have to accept it all the time. So.
Yeah, and
Well, yeah, I mean,
go
to
ahead.
go along with what you're saying, like people get spun up in the spaces and they like get caught up in like the theater of it all because it is like theater in a way, right? And like they get caught up in that cycle and then because they've already, like you said, they've been through something traumatic. That's probably why they're looking into this subject in general because something happened to them or they know someone that had something happen to them or they saw something that was unexplainable and kind of rock their world a little bit. And then you try to like bring them back down to baseline, and it's like they take that as an attack, even though it's not really an attack.
Yeah, you know, I would say that I have thicker skin than most people, but I can appreciate that a lot of people do come on here and aren't prepared to deal with a New York plumber. I get that. Or former New York plumber. Rooted in the plumbing industry of New York. Trained.
Yeah, you're busy building illusions now.
I gotta occupy my time somehow, Kyle. I've been trying this every single winter that I've been in this house, and I don't mind, but it's never come to fruition. Something always changes. Like I get a job and it pulls me out of town for a while, or next thing you know, it warms up. Just it's never come to fruition. But knock on wood, I don't want to jinx myself. This is probably the furthest it's ever come. It's coming out really nice this year.
You're building a luge? That sounds
Yes,
dangerous.
snow luge. It's gonna be awesome. Danger's my middle name, Ocean.
Dude, our family used to build them at our camp. That shit was fucking hilarious. We used to send it down that bitch.
Yeah, I think I pretty much have like the whole bottom end dialed in. Now I just need some more snow to stack on the top end. Like I'm gonna make like a big drop to get the ball rolling, so to say. And I think once I get the drop built, it's game on.
Yeah, it's just a matter of like packing more snow and taking some snow out and shaping it and forming it, and you'll be
Yeah.
zipping down that bitch.
Dude, the bottom
No
end is
time.
tight right now. Like it's really got a substantial trough that was created. So a nominal amount of snow will give me like, the base for the bottom of the luge. Like the walls are like they're tall, they're solid. There's a nominal amount of snow on the base. A little bit more would be great. I just got to get that top side stacked and packed, but it's doable.
Hell yeah, pray for no rain.
Oh, we're not getting rain for a while, Kyle. Yeah.
Dude, it used to be so much more predictable, but now it's like less predictable in my area. Like we'll think we're gonna get a really good winter and it'll just turn out to be shit, and then we'll think like we're gonna get a really bad winter and it turns out to be like absolutely phenomenal conditions.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm so mad there was a nice snow tube that I saw for sale at Costco recently, but I didn't grab it. You have to be just you have to apply discernment in purchases when you're unemployed for a year. So I was like, at the time we didn't have all of the snow, so I was like, I'm not going to buy the tube because then I'll probably jinx it, and then there won't be enough snow, and that'll be a waste of money. So now that the snow is here, I could like theoretically justify it, but they sold out at Costco already, so who knows if they'll get them back.
What you gotta do, Eric, is you gotta go find a piece of like, go to Home Depot and find a really, you already know where I'm going with this. Find a really good spherical shaped object and cut it in half and yeah, spray the bottom with some frying pan.
Like Clark W. Griswold.
Yes, sir.
There you go. I don't know, Clark. The government took that metal plate out of my head and put in a plastic one. I don't know if I'd trust my cranium to a piece of government plastic.
Yeah, you should probably wear a helmet when you operate this luge. And I did a little bit of sledding. I actually did outdoor skating on an outdoor skating rink. That was really fun. But like the sledding was pretty fun too. And there was like a total little jump that they had made. And so we were hitting it. There's like these little word they called the racers. So you like sit on them and you can steer. So we had those, and then we just had the circle ones, and we were all hitting that jump and like flying in the air. I like bailed pretty good. It was a good time. Yeah.
Nice.
I got to be careful because I still need shoulder surgery. And I was like, I'm only going down like twice because I'm going to mess myself up. But you're never too old for like a good old fashioned snow hill. I'm just saying.
Hell yeah. That's where my brain is at. Back in the day when I first moved into this place, across the street from me, the lady had kind of adopted like two two kids that were from a native village, and they were always out playing, and it was so cool to just see kids like playing in the real world, you know. And that was like part of what I was like, you know what, I should build a snow luge and let these kids just fuck around and have some fun. But they're not over there anymore, and there's not really any other kids in the neighborhood. Like, I wouldn't care. Like, if the kids wanted to use it, I would be like, have at it. Don't get any blood on my snow.
And if you do, don't tell anyone.
Right. They used to always agitate me when I was a kid if I like wiped out on my bike and would get all fucked up and came in the house all like, you know, snobbering and sniffling. Oh, I fell off my bike. You know, my dad would always be like, you didn't get any blood on my sidewalk, did you? And I'd be like, what?
I was always told, go die outside. No dying in the house.
Oh my God. I was told that too. Oh, blast from the past, Ocean. Don't die in the house. Go die outside. That's funny. That must be some old school shit.
Yeah, I grew up with old school parents. They said the same shit exactly.
Mm-hmm. Or my dad would say, I'll give you something to cry about. Okay. Never mind.
Also being questioned for being too clean. It's like, why are you so clean? Why are you not dirty? You should be dirtier. And for the longest time, it's like, how come you don't look like you've been working very hard? Where are all your stains? It's like, God damn.
That's so funny. When I was an apprentice plumber doing like boiler jobs and stuff, like my bosses, for whatever reason, I noticed, like, so I was the apprentice, I worked with a mechanic, and I noticed that when people came back to the shop, my bosses would make comments about like how one guy was dirtier than the other. So they'd be like, yeah, this guy was working hard all day. So it got to the point where like at the end of the day for the boiler job, I mean, I'd be pretty clean. You know, that's it's also an indication in the trades, like if you're able to work all day and stay clean, it actually means you're a better worker. So I would wrap up a boiler job, and this dude, Joe, that I was working with, I would look him straight in the face, and I would like reach into the pickup truck where we had the old boiler, and I would wipe my hands on the boiler to get the soot on me, and then I would like smile as I was wiping it on my face, and he would look at me and he'd be like, "You're such a fucking dick." And then we would get back to the shop, and the bosses would see me, and they'd be like, "Oh, looks like Eric was doing all the work, Joe. You're all clean, and he's dirty." And I'd be dying laughing, like, "Yep, that's right." And Joe would just be like, "You're such a fucking dick."
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, nothing says don't trust me like a fresh hard hat that doesn't have any dirt or dents in it whatsoever. It's like, all right, you're gonna stand over here today.
Yep. Brand
my
new.
first day working with you.
Brand new hard hat, brand new safety vest. Danger, Will Robinson. We actually, so where I was at, Ocean, in the oil fields in Alaska, when someone's brand new, they actually give them a Has orange helmet to identify them as brand new.
Oh, we get green ones. You get a green
Okay.
hard hat. It's your first hard hat up here. Yup.
Okay.
Straight up green. That.
Yeah. That way it's like you know who the danger people are.
I wanted to keep mine though. They're like, Ocean, no, we're giving you a regular one. I'm like, no, I want to keep that one because no one asks me to do anything when they think you're new.
Exactly.
So
I was just thinking that. Tactical maneuver, Ocean. And it matches your hair.
Right, yeah.
That would have been cool if you could have dyed it to be like the exact same Has orange. Glowing.
We had lots of rules, like the men weren't allowed facial hair. Like you weren't allowed because you had to be able to don and off the respirator in case of an emergency. And like you weren't allowed jewelry. You weren't even allowed like a lighter in the plant.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Class 1 Div 1 facility, you can't have flammables.
Yeah, you're not even allowed to like take a picture because
Right.
the flash could even potentially, if there was a leak, like in a normal, like what it's supposed to be environment, it'd be fine. But if there was some type of leak
Yep.
and you like had your phone and like it flashed even, that could like light it. And there was a fire at the plant and it was so weird because it was like a gas that was heavy, so it was like a fire on. It was like a fire river on the ground. Essentially, it was fucking scary.
Hmm. Yeah, the last job that I was at, I put out a generator fire. There was a portable generator caught on fire. It was so funny that technically two younger guys on my crew had identified the problem, but I was like right on their heels going in that direction. And I get there, generators on fire, and they're just standing there like with their eyes wide open. And I'm like, go get a fire extinguisher. And they're looking at me. And I'm like, there's a fire extinguisher inside every door here. I said, go find a door, go inside, get the extinguisher. And they're like, okay, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people do freeze in emergency situations, like unless you've had training. And even then, if you've had training, if it's traumatic enough, you might freeze up too, right? But I'm one of those in car accidents or emergencies, like I'll act and then I'll be like super emotional after is when I'll cry, be like, can't believe I lived through that. But like in the moment, I'm like, go, go, go. Like I can handle that stress. But yeah, I don't know. It sucks. But like literally, that's why when we evac, like the town I'm in had the biggest like natural disaster ever in the fire, and everyone lived.
Oh, wow.
It's like except for one person on the highway crashed their vehicle, but everyone like exited town with fire on both sides of the road, and nobody was like driving in the ditch and stuff. And I think it's because like over 50% of the people in this town have taken some type of first aid or like, you know, safety training where it's like step one, don't panic.
Yep.
Right.
I feel like everyone in school and then follow up. So like I'm sure you've had CPR training at some point. And I think everybody should have to take what the Red Cross calls the Stop the Bleed course, which is like learning how to pack wounds, to stop major hemorrhaging, how to apply tourniquets. You know, I'm sure it's pretty remote in some of the places that you've worked, Ocean. I'm not sure about the town that you live in, but here in Alaska, so the whole idea is that if you get hurt, right, soft tissue damage, bleeding, you know, major bleeding, you can bleed out in 3 to 5 minutes. Boom, you're done. You're dead. Like that's a wrap. So there's so many times here in Alaska, like probably like 95% of the time, you're more than 3 to 5 minutes away for anybody else coming to help you. So I feel like everybody should learn how to stop someone else from bleeding. Like it's just
Yeah, I mean, if you get your artery hit or nicked, femoral artery, forget it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the amount of people out in the woods here with guns, there's potential for bullet holes, you know. So learn how to pack wounds. Have a tourniquet or two in your backpack, you know. If you're gonna be out and about with a gun, you should have a tourniquet. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, you should carry a whole IFAC with you.
Correct. Exactly. And this is it's a simple course. You know, you can get pretty damn good at it in a half an hour to an hour. I actually wound up getting myself certified to be an instructor in the course at one point. And, you know, it's just, yeah, I mean, they have, you'll see like AEDs, you know, automatic electronic defibrillators in public spaces. They should have major hemorrhaging kits available as well, you know, that if something goes wrong.
Do you carry an IFAC? I would definitely get an IFAC.
Oh, I'm geared up, Par.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know how to use those, the defibrillator. Like, I don't remember if it's industrial or commercial first aid. I think it's industrial level 1 first aid or whatever. And with that one is the difference. Like emergency first aid, yeah, you like tie tourniquets and tourniquets, and you can you learn the Heimlich maneuver, and you learn how to do first aid, CPR, and then you learn how to like do the 2-person CPR. I think that's like the next level, and then the commercial or industrial is where you use the defibrillator and you go clear, and I did that. I don't know, fuck if I even remember. You don't touch the man when you do it. You make sure you're clear. I know that part.
It technically. All you have to do is pull one of those things off the wall, power it up, and it tells you every step. All you have to do is listen. It's like it'll tell you everything to do. It's the A in AED for automatic. Like it tells you everything.
Yeah, and it showed you where to place them, right?
Yeah.
Of course, like you put one higher than the other, so one's a little bit higher, one's a little bit lower. I remember all that shit.
Hmm.
There were so many. I had to do ground disturbance level 1 and 2. Ground disturbance is like 9 hours of the driest. Fucking call before you dig. Don't go
Oh,
more than 18 inches.
yeah,
Fucking look out for this type of sand at
yeah,
this level. Oh my God. It's just like I want to gouge my eyes out the whole time. But you need it if you're going to be exposing utilities, right?
uh-huh, yeah. Don't hit the big cable with the shovel. Yeah, I've taken a whole bunch of safety training. When I first got up here on the slope in the oil fields, like I really thought all of the safety stuff was like ridiculous. But then I started to realize that not everybody has the depth of experience in the trades. So that I really got on board with like, nope, you know what? These courses are needed. It's some of these folks absolutely. I guess just as much as like when I first got to boot camp and I was like, really? They're teaching us how to brush our teeth? And then I looked around and was like, oh, some people do need this class.
That's funny. Yep, for hydrovac too, we had to take I don't remember what the name of the course was, but it was when we learned to use the grounding blankets. So it's like when you're digging with, like, say, a line that's damaged or like a really high power line, because most of them are pretty fine. Like the spinner, if you were to like hold it right on the line, yes, you break through and get in trouble. But like for the most part, you're safe. But if it is unsafe, then you have to use like a grounding pad. So you like hook this thing up to your truck and you stand on it. So that way, like if the ground gets shocked, you don't get shocked. And that course was pretty intense because they showed a video of like what happens to a hot dog, right? And it's like, all right, this is important. I better pay attention because that hot dog is
Oh my God.
fried.
This could be your pecker. Make sure you use the grounding pad.
Well, I mean, it's funny when people digging all around, like especially in Virginia and Maryland around there, when like if you hit something, you may get the black SUVs may pull up and the guys in suits with the shades on may come out. Because like if you hit their line, it's a big deal.
Yeah, they don't
It's
like
the
when you tear
fiber
through the.
optics.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
Yeah, if you hit the fiber optics, you better hope you hit the electrical one and hurt yourself too, because you're gonna like, I don't know, dude, those are fucking really expensive. You get in big trouble for hitting those. But you know what, there's warnings and shit. When they lay down a line, they put down a different type of gravel, and then they usually put a strip of like
Yep.
caution tape
Yep.
along the top. And sometimes if you're on site, there'll be two layers. There'll be a yellow layer and then a red layer. But in town, it's just one layer of caution tape. So as you dig, you watch the ground. It's like, okay, we're getting to gravel. All right, the gravel's getting finer. And then you're like, where's the tape? And if you don't find the tape, then you go like real slow and you pull the wand back further. And then that way you make your slurry and then there's not ever a lot of pressure. The things with those hydrovac wands is like it loses its pressure really quickly. So close to the wand is like very high pressure, but you come back, like I could hold it out and I could spray myself and not cut through my rain gear, right? But if I was to bring it ahead, even like a foot, it would hurt me badly, right? So it's like, yeah, you don't want to lose control of one of those though, because you turn your water on. If you're not holding that wand, it'll just fucking fly in the air and like, yeah, I got my leg once, but it didn't cut through my rain gear, but it caused like a huge bruise up my leg, and it was all these little X marks because the pattern of it is like kind of like a star, right? So all these little X marks up my fucking leg, and it's like, better hang on to that when you turn it on.
Ocean, of all the chicks that I've ever spoken to, like, you know more about like field work than anybody. It's pretty impressive.
Well, thank you. I've had my time out there with the old timers, and it's good. I feel like I tried to learn and take as much experience and memories with it as I could. A lot of girls, no offense, but a lot of girls go out there and just expect the guys to do the work and really don't try that hard. And then there's women out there that kill it and actually try to learn. So I appreciate you for that. But yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of oopsies before.
So you've dug a ditch or two?
Oh, well, what about like not watching a fucking boiler in a truck? Because like most of the boilers automatically turn off, but some trucks are a little fucked up and like the boilers won't turn off.
Hmm.
So you'll turn off your water and then you don't turn off the boiler. And the next thing you know, the side of the truck, like the cabinet, just fucking explodes and there's a huge dent from the inside. It's like, oh my God, that could have been my head.
Yeah, the whole water truck thing, I never got that engaged with. It's interesting to hear about a boiler mounted in the water truck, but it makes sense.
Well, that's the hydrovac. So the hydrovac is like a debris tank in the center, a round tube debris tank in the center, and then on either side it comes out as like a little half square, right?
Hmm.
And that one is the water tank, and then so it feeds from the water tank into the burner, heats up the water, and then you suck it up and it goes into the debris tank, and
Okay.
then you dump it. Yeah, it's
So
got a gate.
you are an operator for the vehicle, not just the driver?
Well, you drive and you operate, but yeah,
Gotcha.
when I started off, I had my class 3, but I started off as like they call it a swamper or
Hmm.
like a laborer, right? But yeah, a swamper because I had to learn the equipment. And like when you get your license, that's a license to learn. Like you do not know all there is to know getting your brand new like license, right? So like I had a lot to learn still. And then I became an operator after. And then I went to like a water truck. And then in town I did like dump truck. Yeah, so
Were you a smooth operator? Remember that song, Ocean?
oh,
Smooth operator.
sometimes I was smooth, sometimes it was not smooth, but the air seats help. Like the seats are like the air shocks or whatever in the seats, so it doesn't really matter if it's bumpy.
Oh,
You're just like,
yeah.
oof, oof, oof.
Hydrovac operating is like the funnest job ever.
Dude, I love digging. I love digging holes so much.
I did that in Fort Saskatchewan and Edmonton area for a year and a bit.
What company was it? TriStar.
TC Hydrovac at
Oh, I
that
don't
point in
remember.
time. They were out of Fort Saskatchewan. Or sorry, Sherwood Park.
I started with Badger and then I ended up going on to other companies. But Badger is such a good fucking company. Like I could have transferred to any other Badger place. So I could have been like, I want to go work in the States and work for like a month on and 2 weeks off or whatever. And they would have given it to me. Like it's a very good company. And they also like the program that I took to get my license, they were a sponsor for that program. So they also like kind of helped me like pursue the license and all of those courses we were talking about before came with that kind of package, right? So yeah, Badger's a great company for sure.
What kind of
Yeah,
rotations do they typically work up there?
I did 7 and 7 and
Oh, nice.
I hated it. Like it was better than 14 and 14,
Oh,
but
you're
you're only
talking
allowed,
days, not weeks.
yeah,
Oh,
7 days on, 7 days off,
oh,
or
that
you do
sucks.
14 days on, 14 days on, 14 days off. You're allowed to work up to 21 days straight
Uh-huh.
before you have to take 4 days off.
Got you.
Technically, you could do 21 and 4 if you wanted to be hardcore.
Got you. Yeah, I like doing 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off.
Yeah, that's about the limit there. There's
Uh-huh.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Good morning there, Mr. Rance. Welcome up to the stage.
What's up, my peoples? How we doing this morning?
Fantastic. Pretty interesting evening last night, huh?
Well, nothing gets past the mainstream media.
Even the alternative medias.
That's what was messed up is that there wasn't alternative medias there. Those were all mainstream medias, people that have branched out to independent networks, right? Like, so that's what they were talking about. They were
Yep.
bitching because they can't make money because they decided that they want to go like do their own news reporting because, we don't understand how the news works, right? And you have to have like this special degree and you got to be like all scientific and you got to, get the training because it's not, you can't just have anybody out here reporting the news, like rants, like I can't
Yeah.
I never got an education. I'm not qualified to sit here and, report what I see with my own 2 eyes.
You need training, sir.
Yeah, and so it was kind of crazy how
Yeah.
they marketed it as an independent citizen journalist, you know what I mean, event, but
Yep.
then it went into this like,
Let's just back up and let everyone know. Like, so last night, Rance and I went to a local event here in Anchorage, and the concept as presented was it was to promote, independent news media. That was the concept. But I'll let Rance go on. He's more of an expert in the local peculiarities of the rackets of Alaska and specifically the media. But I just wanted to let folks know we attended an event.
Yeah, it was kind of eye-opening because, I thought it was funny that they just bitched about all their funding getting closed and now they can't make any money and they're all going to have to go get jobs, real jobs now, because they're no longer going to be able just to write whatever their, unbiased feelings, because that's basically what they're a bunch of unbiased people. They're very, moral people, right? Like they just have a gauge on reality better than anybody else because, they're sort of taught, to be better than everybody else. And, and mostly, I would have respected it if they didn't go down the route of like, oh, we are broke, we don't have no money, we can't succeed. Well, yeah, you can. Like every other influencer out here, go get a subscription base of people that fucking like your shit, and they'll pay you for it. You know what I mean? It's a pretty simple strategy.
Yeah, they seemed pretty agitated when that dude brought up Suzanne Spooner and her following, and they were seemed rather envious.
Yeah, same with the landmine, right? Like these are like leftist independent media outlets that were like, we're going independent. We're not part of the mainstream. Why won't anybody listen to us? And it's like, well, bitch, because all your shit is fake. You know what I mean? Even the shit you're talking about here is fake,
And then even that one gal, when they asked her, what can we do to prevent bias in the news that we present? And her answer was making sure it's full of diversity.
Oh yeah, diverse. Well, if you don't have everybody in the room, you can't make a decision. You can't debate on your own life merits and your moral standards on what a good story should be. You should definitely have, a black dude in there and an Asian dude and a white liberal female, and and then once we all agree, then you can go ahead and post this. Like, what the fuck was that, dude? That blew my mind. And then the other thing that blew my mind was their sources, right? They're like, well, we know what sources are. Okay. Well, as a citizen journalist, I kind of think I know what sources are. So what's the difference between independent journalist and a mainstream media source versus my citizen journalist source? And then on top of that, what's the difference between a source and a whistleblower, right? Because, now, like say I interview you, right? The mainstream media would say you're not a credible witness. You're not a credible source.
Right.
Even though you're the goddamn whistleblower.
Yeah, I'm the guy that was there. I mean, heaven forbid we talk to that guy.
Yeah, facts. Don't talk to the guy that actually was there, seen it, touched it, felt it.
And now we see what they got in the budget for it.
Yeah, that blew my mind. There was one person there talking about how like this teeny little podunk news department. I can't remember what she said, Rance, like that there was like, I don't know, like 5 of them or 8 of them when it maxed out, but they went from having like a $1 million budget to $5 million budget. And I was like, who is paying for this? Who's funding this? And like, how does that not get called out as a bias?
And they were bitching about it. They were like, oh, man, we need more money. $1 million for 8 people is not what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
There's absolutely no overhead in reporting. 0 overhead, especially in today's age, right? Anybody can report shit. And then they were bitching at Suzanne because they're like, oh, well, she's doing a podcast now. She must have went and spent thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on like videos and lights and shit. I'm like, are you kidding me? For $150, we can get you a setup.
Basically, yeah. I mean, you can go ballistic and spend $5,000 and have like a freaking legit studio. And at that point,
Yeah, but they made it sound like you needed millions. Like she's making $18,000 a month.
Right. Yeah, they were jealous when they heard she had what'd they say, 9,000 paid subscribers to her platform.
Yeah, it is so funny because all of them put together, right? Which is really funny because you put Must Read Alaska together, the Landmine, you put all these other companies together, right? Overall, the platforms, I get more views than all of these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? But I don't get paid. I don't even try to get paid for any of my shit.
Totally understood. That's the weird thing, and that's what I think was funny in the conversation was they all seem to be avoiding, because they're all like, how do we get more people to pay attention to our news? How do we get people to pay for our news? That seemed to be the point of the conversation to me. And as I mentioned to you, it's like, well, I don't know, do good work. I mean, produce a good product, and then maybe people will be interested.
I just told you yesterday, be genuine.
Yeah.
Okay, American people want genuine, even if I'm not correct all the time, right? I'm not afraid to be wrong at all, okay? So call me out on anything that you feel I'm wrong. Let's talk about it. Let's have a fucking conversation, right? But, to me, it's be genuine. Just report what's out there. Report on what the data says, right? Have data-driven conversations, and all of this bullshit would go away. That's why I think people follow me. I think that's why people like me, is because I'm kind of like this black pill truthsayer, and it's my truth. It doesn't have to be your truth. You don't have to agree with it, right? But at least have a conversation and debate the merits of facts versus feelings, and let's have a conversation and see where we can lead.
Absolutely. And I thought it was really weird how the panel and everybody there was so trying to promote the idea of unbiased news, and I don't know that I want that, so to say. I feel like I would rather have the belief system opinions of the person presenting the news honestly and openly shared. I would just, like, obviously, Rance, like when you talk, you certainly share your opinion of the situation, which to me is fantastic. So I just think that that's being more genuine. To say this is what I think of the situation. This politician did this politician said that, and this is what I think about it. And here's the facts of the matter. Here's a recording of what they said. So it's just those are the sources. Like, take the information that's presented and have an opinion. Don't be a fence sitter. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't give everybody a pass.
You know what was funny? I'm going to backtrack on that conversation real quick, because right before they had that conversation, remember how they said they didn't know who funded them, right? They said, well, we don't know who funds us. We never asked where our money comes from, right?
That was so funny, dude.
Right? And then she was like, but then, our managers, they'll stop stories. You know what I mean? They'll come into the newsroom right before we're about to go on air and say, don't push that out there. Don't send this out to the state partners. Don't, you know what I mean? But they're like, but people need to pay for our news because we're giving them the unbiased truth. We're giving them the fucking facts, and they don't want to pay us for it. And if we're not here, the world's gonna die because nobody's gonna know what's going on. It's like, bro, if there's a need, there's a want, there's a way. Right? And if you don't have a want for it, maybe your shit isn't needed. Just saying.
Yeah, that's the way I felt it was going on. It was like a bunch of crybabies that are, doing whatever the shadow hand funding dictates, and then whining that it wasn't really working out for them as well as they had hoped.
And how many times they bring up nonprofits? Like, well, we need nonprofits and philanthropy. They need to support us. They need to get on our train, Like, dude, why don't you go out like every other person out here and find fucking subscribers? It's like, you guys are going to find the leeches to hand you the money, right? Because that's how they've been leeching so long. They've never had to work for their job. You know what I mean?
We want you to go get us the free money, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want. And they were like, we need more grants. Right. Well, oh, what? You need more taxpayer dollars? Nah, I'm good on that. Pass.
All the kinds of free money.
Sounds like you guys are doing business in Canada.
We might be, bro.
Well, it's just that, like, that's what you got to do. There's no investor class here. That's what you have to do for business, is like appeal to the government for grants and loans.
But media is fake in Canada.
I did not even know that. Can you explain
I don't know
that
about
again?
you
So
guys,
you don't have
but,
an investor class in Canada? I'm sorry to cut you off.
It's all good.
Well, like when I was starting mushroom business, You go to like Farm Credit Canada, will give you a loan for the mushroom business or whatever. It's not so much. I I'm probably not well spoken on how. Like I know parts of the U.S. business model, but it definitely doesn't work the same up here for most circumstances.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just assumed that no matter where you're at, you could go get investment from somewhere on the planet.
Well, you can. It's just not as prevalent as down there.
Well, just wait. You'll be our 52nd state, and we'll get you there.
And just to clarify, in regards to Canadian-Alaskan relationships, it would be up there, Chris. We're up there when we're in Alaska.
We're all the way up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we can meet at the border and throw rocks at each other.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's have a hider party.
Dude, that's funny. I threatened a Russian the other day doing that. He was talking mad shit about Alaska, dude. So, like, I jumped up into space, and I was like, motherfucker, I'll meet you at the border. I will start throwing rocks. It was great. And now me and this Russian are, like, best friends, It's funny.
Snowball fight at the border. Let's do it. Ocean's going to come with her water truck and start spraying us, though. It's pretty cold.
I would rather trade valuables. All right, I'll bring my maple syrup, and you bring whatever you would like to trade, and we will trade valuables.
What are they trading out of Siberia?
Vodka.
I'm sure there's some like rare rocks up there, all that sort of stuff.
I actually have no idea. I should actually go look into that because I'm pretty sure that I'm just under the assumption, probably naive of me, but that Siberia is just like a barren wasteland of tundra.
So it's like the North Slope?
That's what my understanding was, that it's majority just like, untravelable, unlivable, unbuildable. You might be able to put some roads through like we do on the slope, but without a lot of land movement and pad building, I'm pretty sure that they don't really have much stuff in Siberia, but I might be 100% wrong on that because I honestly have no clue.
They will give you raw furs and attitude. Yes, that's what you'll get from them.
I can handle both of that.
That's kind of actually what I'm looking for in a girlfriend.
Fur and an attitude, huh?
Hey, you said you're up. Are you up here in Alaska?
Yeah.
Are you Eric is, yes.
Rance, I saw you last night, remember?
No, hey Ocean.
No, I'm in Canada, but I'm also
okay.
all the way up.
Hey.
Fuck yeah, bye.
Ocean's going to come visit here in Anchorage at some point, but she's probably going to wait for the summertime.
Anytime after July, before August. Those are your two best months. The first week in August, the last week in June, the entire month in July.
We got
Oh
Mr.
yeah, I want to see a polar bear. Don't take me polar bear sighting.
Never going to happen. You have to go up to the North Slope.
It's still doable. It's just a flight. It's possible. We got Jean here on the speaker panel.
She would have to do it now, Eric, because the polar bears are only going to be out in the winter. When the summer comes up there, they're all back on the sea ice.
Fair enough. What do you got going on today, Gene?
Hey, good morning. I got my coffee and a nice slice of apple pie going on.
That's American. That's an American breakfast.
That's it. It's the fancy one too. The crumble, the Dutch crumble apple pie. So I got extra fancy with it. No, I was just gonna say is I've been to Siberia a few times, and basically the only thing that grows there is oil and gas and some precious metals. And yeah, it is barren by all accounts. I'll tell you, Eric, one of the funniest things that happened. I look at the time I went. I was my oldest kids and my first wife had moved back to central New York where she had grown up, and we're living in a town called Seneca Falls. And it is the birthplace of the abolitionist movement. And it's where Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony first met and all that good stuff. But it's also home of a pipe manufacturer. And there I was out in Siberia looking at pipes, and right on the top, stamped in was I forget the name of the company, but Seneca Falls, New York. And I was like, well, you look at that. That made it. This little village made it all the way out to Siberia.
That's wild. I've seen a lot of Utica boilers in my travels, and they come from Utica, New York.
You ever try those Nanaimo bars? It's like a chocolate bar. I've been in Nanaimo plenty of times. It's a cool place.
I never even heard of that. But
Oh my god, it's delicious. It's like a fudge bar. It's like cream fudge and then chocolate. Oh my god, Nanaimo bars.
I remember when I first came up to Alaska and was going up to the slope and was doing my my training in town, all the the safety stuff, and being a New Yorker and all the locals teasing me, they kept saying, "Oh, you're gonna love it up on the slope. It's so awesome. There's a beautiful woman behind every tree," and everybody kept telling me that, and I knew there was something going on, but I didn't quite get it because I hadn't been that far north yet, and then I flew up and. Apparently north of the Brooks Range, the area that they call the North Slope, there's 0 trees. So, har har.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the tundra doesn't actually have trees, right? Like the true tundra is like too cold for trees to grow. But that's funny because when people ask me why I moved up to the oil sands, it's like, oh, for the beaches and beautiful women, obviously. Because it's like no one moves. People move here for money. That's it. You don't move up here for fucking any other reason.
Do you actually have do you have views of mountains from where you live?
I don't have mountains, but the river has carved like a little bit of a valley, so like that's kind of flat, and then it comes down a hill, which you can tell is like ancient like river lake bed or whatever, and then it goes back up. So it's like fairly flat. Everything's flat except for where town is. It's kind of like in that where the river has carved really deeply there. Yeah, because like when I go to the river and I'm in the sand, I find shells. So that's like the very bottom of like the ancient seabed that used to be the interior sea.
Hey, Ocean, that was my personal awakening was in like uh 2000 or something like that. I was working in the hills up by Grand Prairie, way up on top of the mountain, and ran into shells, and it just made me like sit down for weeks on end, like what the fuck is going on here?
Right, I feel like a flash of like Discovery Channel when it would flash back to prehistoric times. I'd picture like what did it look like back then? But I don't know, that's probably what like bitumen, isn't it? Like it's not necessarily dinosaurs, but it is organic material that has turned into like a carbon paste essentially, and then it like resonates and forms layers in the sand. Am I correct? It's like organic material, I'm pretty sure, like plants and animals and everything else that has carbon in it.
I am certainly no expert on bitumen.
I think it's also like ancient like sea life too, like the flora and stuff like that, and then it would sink to the bottom, and then the pressure makes it like I don't know exactly how it works, but it's all messy stuff. Gets sticky, stuck everywhere, get black stains on everything.
Oh, that's where I think I'm recalling it from. Isn't it? It's like tar, kind of, isn't it?
Yeah, you can like, if it's thick enough and you mix it with enough sand, it's almost like Play-Doh. Yeah. Get it too hot, it'll turn into like weed resin. It's like, it gets all over the place.
So what do you think, Rance? Do you think that the event last night had enough people in the audience that were like, I can totally buy these reporters? They were just begging to be purchased.
I would venture to say that I was 20 years younger than most people in that room. And I would also venture that looking at that age bracket, I'm guessing they've only got about like 5, maybe 10 years left to live. And I think that no matter what they write about would be irrelevant to the future generations of people coming up because they are so disconnected from society that they don't actually understand what people want to hear, what people want to read about, what people want to know about. So I mean, I don't even know. I just write things that I'm passionate about that I think are problems, and if you sort of like or agree with whatever I say, then post my shit, share my shit. Other than that, I really don't care because this is more therapeutic for me on social media because honestly, I don't feel like you actually move the needle locally. When you're just talking on Spaces or you're doing your podcast and shit. That's why I go out into the public more to meet people and talk with real people out there. But like I said in the beginning of that, I don't think anybody there was there for independent journalism, right? I think this was, a free dinner for some of these people, right? I think it was a get out of the house and let's go see my comrades, right? Kind of a thing.
Like the state senator that had 7 plates of food.
Yes, yes. And that's the thing, right? And then what did he do? He just went up there to talk to them about his unhappiness with disinformation. Right? He's like,
yeah, which would be his I guess opinion of what disinformation is. Him just basically griping somebody else's reporting. Yeah, I thought it seemed to me like he was just trying to get reporters in trouble with their management for things that they wrote that he lacked an appreciation for their honesty.
That's how I took it. And how else would you take that? You know what I mean? Nobody else showed up to this event, right? Which just shows you that media up here is dead, which is what a lot of people, like we've talked about this, why, I have such a chance now as a, late 30s boomer, I saw a bunch of time left on me, you know what I mean? And all these people are in their 60s that are pushing out this shit, and then they're wondering why the nonprofits aren't paying for their shit anymore, right? Well, it's, your bias, your life education or experiences have brought you to this one point of reporting, and that's all right? And the one lady there was talking about how, like, following the oil permits and the oil companies and the energy in Alaska was just, like, trivial. It became, like, side work for her where she just was forced to do it every day out of commitment, right? To me, that shit is very fucking complete opposite. I look forward to looking up those numbers every day because to me, it paints the picture of how fucked up we are as a state. How, like, we're almost out of energy right now. We're going through this cold spell, right? And a lot of people are just, sleeping on this cold spell. The longer we have these cold spells every year, the more we pull out gas out of Cook Inlet, which is already bleeding dry, right? Like when I say bleeding dry, they're going to have to start pumping in natural gas to Alaska from Japan to heat our homes in January of 2027. That's less than 365 days. All right. And if we don't have our phase 1 plant built out by then, Alaska could, if we don't have the pump plant to pull in natural gas next year from China in 2027, okay, in the middle of winter, our power system could fail and kill 500,000 people in Alaska. Okay. It fails in the middle of winter. Right now at -20, nobody lives through this. I'll tell you that right now. In 3 days, the entire state of Alaska is fucking dead. Okay? Because you're not living in the wilderness, okay, at -20 degrees or even 0 degrees, okay? But it's -20 right now, okay? Big difference in when you're trying to survive, right? And so to me, that's like a future safety, concern. And it should be the only thing that our elected officials are talking about. The only thing is how do we get gas back to Alaska and stabilize our energy grid so we can continue to grow. Because if not, you're going to have to out-migrate 500,000 people from the most populated areas of Anchorage and Matsu to be able to, keep the power on for the people down in Kenai and Homer and Soldotna, right? So I don't know. It's just kind of fucked up that this is where we're headed.
Isn't there a pipeline coming in from northern BC, like in from the Liard field?
No, we don't have any pipelines coming in from Canada.
They did just build a compressor station in Prince Rupert, so you may be able to pick up tankers right out of Kitimat now.
I'll have to look into that. Yeah, as far as I know, their plan right now is to buy carbon from the world, sequester carbon, while importing in LNG to heat Alaska, right? Because even if they start drilling next year, they're not going to have the pipeline done, right? So the pipeline's not supposed to be done till 2028, 2029. And so during that time, from 2027 to 2029, regardless, Alaska is going to be dependent on Japanese LNG. So we already got contracts with that shit for, I guess the next 4 years. But that's what's coming to Alaska. They have fucked the energy up here so much that legitimately, like, we're going to have to purchase foreign oil for at least 4 years before we'll be able to harness our own LNG again. And that's the sad part. And that's if they build this pipeline. I don't think they build the pipeline. I think they only finish out the phase one part of it. And then everything else sort of gets put on the back burner after that, because once they have phase one in, they have the ability to start carbon sequestration, which to me is their whole goal, because their whole goal is net zero. Right? How much carbon can the state sequester and make money, which is a lot of states are doing, because it's a new way to finance the government outside of taxpayers, right? And so the more these states can build out carbon credit printing presses, right, and the ability to sequester carbon in their state, the more money that state makes. So for example, Alaska, starting in 2027, when they open up the first carbon sequestration, they're estimating that will grow to $181 billion in the next 10 years. So by 2035, the state of Alaska could have made another $110 billion outside of taxpayers by forcing taxpayers to build out the infrastructure for this revenue stream, right? Every time they're upgrading.
What method are they proposing?
No, they've already passed this. These are projects that are getting passed and built in 47 states.
No. Like, what method in Alaska are they using for carbon sequestration?
They have imports, right, where they're going to put in other people's imports. And then we have 2 coal factories that they're upgrading now to capture the excess carbon off of the coal plants and upgrades. And then they built out this giant carbon capturing plant, which is a bunch of fans basically in the air that suck air out of the atmosphere and then separate the carbon and then release the air back in. And then they just separate it by putting in the condensers, right? Pulling apart the atoms, compressing the CO2 down to a liquid greenish gaseous form, and then they pipe it out.
Fucking crazy, right?
That's what I was just thinking.
It
sounds so ridiculous to me.
Well, let me break it down to the United States, okay? Currently, right now, we're sitting at 5,200 and I think 5,292 miles. I think that's where we're sitting at right now. They want to build 98,000 miles of carbon pipelines in America over the next 3 years. And you can go look this up. This is like Carbon Solutions and Green Energy Pipes. These are companies that are pushing this around the lower 48 right now. And the problem is that they're putting these pipelines in with no public comment or thought process of public safety. So imagine you're in a neighborhood, right, and you got like 6 or 7 carbon pipelines that are pulling carbon from everybody's houses with the smart meters and all this shit, right? And one breaks in your neighborhood. Do you understand what happens when carbon breaks through a pipeline that's compressed? Does anybody? I think Gene might know.
I don't.
Does anybody know? Because that gas is compressed. So when that gas gets leaked out into the atmosphere, it expands. And what happens when you have a bunch of carbon that expands? It pushes all the oxygen out of the way, right? So there's actually cities that almost have died, like towns that have died, where everybody was incapacitated because a pipeline broke a mile away from a community. Right, I think there was like 146 people involved. I think it was in Montana. I'll have to go double check that. I could find that article.
Classic plumbing.
But the problem
plumbing.
is that you can't outrun this shit, right? Because you're like, oh, I'll just jump in my car and drive away. Well, how the fuck are you going to do that when there's no oxygen in the air? Because your car needs oxygen to run. So what they found out is that not only can first responders be trapped into this, you can't escape it because there's no way to, outmaneuver this except for,
That happens
running
with
out of the
natural
way.
gas too, though, right? Like if you can
High
have
ground,
natural gas.
high ground.
Definitely doesn't happen with natural gas. This is because it's compressed CO2. The same leaks with natural gas would not poison a neighborhood or kill off the entire neighborhood if there was a natural gas leak.
I disagree on that.
Also, natural gas, they put that smell in it so you can tell.
That's true. They do, because isn't it smellless, tasteless?
And it's natural gas is a heavy gas. It's not going to float around in the atmosphere.
That's true. It would take a lot to fill up, I guess, to reach people's heads, unless it was like in a basement or something. So you're saying that the carbon like expands more, it takes up more space, and so it chokes
There's
people
actually
out more
YouTube
than
video.
other
It's an
gas.
hour long. It's called Breaking Ground, Carbon Pipelines. I encourage you guys all to go watch that and look at the fights and the problems. This is a very well done documentary, and it shows how U.S. has been fighting, U.S. citizens, right, have been fighting the eminent domain and the overreach on these carbon pipelines and the dangerousness of it. It's called Breaking Ground, CO2 pipelines. It's on YouTube. Go watch the hour video, and it will change your mind because, this is their plan for America is to put in 90,000 miles worth of this carbon pipeline shit and bring it to a neighborhood near you. And that shit, is super, super dangerous. And they're not talking about it. They're not preparing for it. And they sort of, shush you out of the room as a conspiracy theorist when you talk about it, even if you bring up 20 or 30 real world examples of carbon leaks off carbon pipelines that have either killed or incapacitated well over 100 people.
It makes me wonder, it begs the question, like, I hadn't heard about all the 90,000 miles of pipe and all that stuff. So it's like, what's the carbon footprint of the carbon sequestration industry?
That's the point. There's not a carbon footprint because they sell those carbon credits as offsets, right? So if anything, they're above the green standard, and they did so much better work for the environment that they're able to now take these as credits and then sell them to a company that needs to buy offset credits because their standards of producing are not environmental friendly. Does that make sense?
It makes sense what you're saying, but in another part of my brain, this just sounds like a con job on paper for people to make money.
That's what I've been trying to tell
like
people
this
for
isn't
4 years.
This is it's just
This is the Canadian program. Here.
We got Gene with his hand up
4
here.
years ago too. I said this shit got started in Canada and Australia.
Yeah, this is like it's a shell game.
Yeah.
It's just moving it around from here. It's not a problem over here because we moved it over here, and now it's not a problem over there because then we moved it over to here. And oh, by the way, we keep charging to move the to kick the can down the road.
And then get this too. Now they're making, like, last year they sold $1.5 trillion in offset credits. This is estimated to be a $17 trillion a year business by 2035. 2035. Wrap your head around that.
We got Gene with his hand up here. Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, a couple of comments for Rance. Great information, and you're spot on. I can't speak to the technical aspect that you initially started with, because my role would be more trying to find a way to get 30 pounds of cocaine in the trunk of your car and stop by a state trooper. From the way you're talking, you got to keep an eye out for that. And with regard to the carbon credits, I don't know if it was here somewhere else I talked about before. I, for a period of time, made quite a small fortune on setting up a trading company and buying the credits and trading them, and you just sort of it just works like the stock market in a sense. But he is spot on that that's all it is a paperwork exercise, so that at the end of the year, the governments or the powers that be can go back and show numerically that they have stayed under. Companies can be like, oh yeah, we are well under our carbon credits, or where they went over, they can be like, oh no, we were we were absolutely within it. We just bought the credits from somebody else, and it fundamentally changes absolutely nothing. It created a couple of cottage industries, I guess, if you really think about it, and did absolutely jack shit for the environment.
There was one successful story I remember hearing about carbon capture. Was a free energy entrepreneur out of the States who got hired to dump a boatload, like serious boatload of iron filings off the Queen Charlotte Islands. And it created such an algae bloom that like it did a massive carbon capture, but the numbers were so big on it that they poo-pooed him in the parliament, like when he went to get recognition for it.
Yeah, he's lucky.
Carbon is not our fucking problem. Okay, carbon
No,
is
we
our
need more
friend.
carbon.
Carbon
We
is
need
our plant food.
Yeah.
Okay, and the more carbon we pull out of the air, the deadly we're making the planet, right? So with this Green New Deal, not only are they fucking up our atmosphere on shit they don't understand, okay? And I challenge anybody to say they understand it, because if they did, then you have to explain to me like ancient seabeds, okay? Because if we want to talk about where the majority of carbon is held on the entire planet, it's in locked up seabeds, okay? Like, so to me, it doesn't matter what happens, because all of the good work they did with the carbon this entire year got squashed out with 2 volcanoes that went off, right? So we did all this shit, and then Mother Earth was just like, oh, I'm gonna fart twice, okay? And then we're back down to square zero. And then on the opposite side of this, right, the states are locking up these giant forests and tree mass. So, like, for example, I like to use Arkansas and Alabama, because they locked up 47 and 43% of their state's land mass, okay, for carbon sequestration on tree grants, which means that they want the trees to collect carbon. The state will then take the estimated carbon that was calculated through the number of trees, the type of trees, and the amount of carbon they pull in, and then every year they're going to be able to sell their own state offset credits. What this does is it degrowths and demoralizes the city population from trying to grow, and so you have an export of people, right, which is their goal in these states, because if nobody lives in Arkansas and Alabama, then they can go ahead and lock the entire state up and make money off of the government and never have to worry about you, right? This is the New World Economic Order game plan. They've talked about this for well over 20 years, okay? It's been in the plan since 1864, okay? This is when they started talking about all this stuff, right? Just people refuse to read, people refuse to listen, and now that, we actually see all these plans coming to fruition, they're no longer fairy tales of this is 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. This is like, we're living in it right now in 2026, and it's only going to get bigger. Okay, this isn't shit that's down the road. This is shit that's at your front door now, and you better care about it, because this is the foundation for what we're building out as our energy prison. Okay, they're monopolizing a federal energy state of corporations, okay, that we've never seen in this country before, in the world before. And that's what scares me, because I always say those who control the money control the government, those who control the food control the people, those who control the energy control your freedom, right? And we already know they control the money and they control the food. If we don't fight back for our energy in this country and actually start demanding that we don't turn out like Canada and Australia, where we're energy dominant exporters but energy poor as a country, that's a problem, right? And the way that the American government spins this right now is they try to tell you that your gas prices are down in your car, because everybody seems to care about the gas price, right? Where you should be asking, what the fuck's up with your utilities? Okay, because why are your gas prices dropping to $1, but your utilities across every state are going up 25, 30, 40% every 4 months? Okay, go look at it. The average increase in utilities this year was 47% across the United States. All right, that's the increase in utilities. How many years can we do this before we stop bitching about gas prices and start bitching about our actual energy prices that produce jobs? Because your utilities allow you to create job growth. With the more energy, the more jobs, right? And when that energy costs a lot, the jobs disappear. And so when you're looking at the loss of jobs in the United States and the lack of people that are starting up new businesses and stuff, it's not because they can't or won't or lazy. It's because we're priced out of starting up stuff, because this is a war between the billionaires and the poor people. And guess what? We're all in that poor group, and they're all against us.
I couldn't agree with that more. I have an idea for a new business, though, Rance. We've all heard about global warming and sea level rise. I think we need a massive seawater pipeline redistribution set up. And then what we'll do to fix the problem is that we'll pump the water from where there's high tide, and then we'll pump it over to where there's low tide. So then that way we can fix the problem.
It's all about balance. You know what I mean? I think the moon is overrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
we'll
we
call it
definitely,
sea balance.
the moon is overrated. And I think that if you gave us some money, Eric, and we got some investors, we could fix that problem. Okay. We just need enough money. Okay. So
we need to blow up the moon. It's obviously to our detriment.
Dude, okay, so I actually did that 3 months ago, okay? I seen this dumbass fucking company called Stardust get started up, right? They made $60 million in a weekend after opening this company back, I want to say in like February or March, right? And so I was like, well, what the fuck is Sundust? I'm going to go look into this, right? They literally got $60 million with an essay that talked about how they plan to block out the sun. Black it out. Okay. And I'm like, well, fuck, if we're going to black out the sun, then why don't I just like put a thing together to blow up the moon? You know what I mean? I don't like it looking at us, you know what I mean? And then we'll put together these little pump systems so that way we can control the tides, Eric. And, you know, why need the universe to, you know, so if you give us enough money, you know, if anybody out here knows any billionaires that, you know, want to control the ocean, you know, let Eric and me know. We'll go find some engineers. We'll put a little company together and we'll build a tidal machine. And then we'll blow up the moon for 250 years of America. I guess empire building now. But hey, you know, we had a good run, and, you know, I guess next that goes is the moon. And you know what's fucked up is that people actually think you're serious about this, you know? If I get clipped on this and someone's out here, like, pushing my stuff like, oh, he wants to blow up the moon, man, then you don't understand satire. You don't understand sarcastic. This is why, you know, you're down there listening, right? And you should probably, you know, expand your mind, have a conversation, and educate yourself about, you know, what's going on. Because what's going on is us not holding ourselves accountable, acting up and being participants in this game of life, okay? And that's where I feel we need to change as Americans, as citizens, right? To make this country and this world a better place, is we definitely need to be more accountable to the people that are in power over us.
Yeah, you're also right about the gases being locked up in the seabed. I mean, think of how much methane is in there. Like, if that ever came out, we'd be fucked.
Can't talk about that science though, bro. That's you can't talk about it. I mean, I've literally been kicked out of energy conferences bringing shit up like that, you know? And it's just crazy because I'm not anywhere as knowledgeable or educated as Gene here in the oil industry. You know, I just, you know, I love energy. I love to know where it's coming from. I love to know how it's made. You know, like people sleep on that shit because we don't ever care about where our electricity or our water comes from until we don't got it. You know what I mean? That's how comfortable we have gotten as Americans, is that we don't even understand that this shit fails, we die, right? Like, our lifeline is directly dependent on clean water and electricity, full stop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm me. So when I was a kid, the government was breaking down my door all the time, trying to stop me, just for other reasons, mostly computer reasons. But it all winds up in this being the same thing. You know, when you're against the man, they don't like it. So I'm just saying, you know.
Rance, I don't believe that the people in the rooms that threw you out thought that you were dumb. They probably thought you were smart, and you were probably smarter than a lot of people in the room, and that was the problem. But go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, that was beautifully said about your interest in energy and where it comes from, and having the curiosity to validate things on your own. And I would just say, as a former insider, that's exactly what nobody wants you doing. So just enjoy it. Enjoy all the things that energy brings you in your day-to-day life.
And think alignment. I think plumbers, I think electricians, I think linemen, okay? Because, I don't really care about the energy board, right? I'm not going to go thank my Chugach electric board, but if I see a Chugach electric worker, man, I'm going to shake his hand, thank him. I bring him coffee when I see him out on the side of the road. I do a lot of things for these utility workers because, they are unforgotten. We talk a lot about the first responders, okay? Right? And everybody's like, let's donate to them. I think we need to be donating to some of these guys. You know what I mean? Because they're underpaid, they're undervalued, right? And this is what builds our country. And without them, we would all die.
Yeah, I put in the nest.
Here.
The top secret Pentagon report showing the eventual breakdown of the thermal haline conveyor. They did this study, and this was published on energy.com before the Pentagon classified it top secret. So I grabbed it from there, and then I have it. I keep it. So you can read it. You can see, and now you can see, because this is back, from the 2010s projection, and we're already in the times that is being affected.
I have to. I'm sitting here laughing to myself a little bit because for all the discussions, UAPs and national security and disclosure and all the rest of it, listening to this conversation actually gives me a visceral fear. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the stuff nobody wanted. They don't want anyone talking about. It's like that conditioning is in me, and I'm like,
yeah, I'm always
God.
it, man.
God,
I get the goods from the computers and all that.
Yeah, Gene, this is the stuff that, I guess we've chatted before, and I think so much of, the stuff we're discussing today, it's way less about, proper production, meeting demands, appropriate profits to be had versus it's the machinery of control, as Rance is putting it.
I mean, think about this, folks, okay? In the last 20 years, okay, we spent trillions of dollars on infrastructure, okay? Bridges, internet, right? Rural internet, roadways, okay? And if you go look into these infrastructure projects, what you're going to notice is that 72%, 72, okay, never got completed, but the funds were spent, okay? So we're on this fraudulent, awakening as America, seeing all of these other daycare and these grant programs and all of this shit as fraud, right? But we don't even look into the fact that we're not getting a return on our value because none of the jobs or none of the projects that they actually do are finished, right? They give people jobs for 5 or 6 years and that project gets shut down. Everybody moves on to the next job. Money's always there. Right. And to me, that's what we need to fix. OK, because our energy grid has been neglected for 30 years. OK, we built our energy grid west to east, which was a huge mistake. We needed to build it in a grid section where we built not only vertical grid lines, but horizontal grid lines. And that's one thing America doesn't do. So when they're talking about building out an infrastructure right now, every energy meeting and conference that I've been to last year never talked about expanding energy, but more how do we interconnect the grids horizontally, right? So to me, there's a lot of miscommunication going on with the people that are actually planning every state and every grid project out there versus the mandates that we're trying to pull away from wind and solar or intermittent energies, right? We're still full-fledged on this Green New Deal. It's just been rebranded, okay? We're going to go into a battery-powered substation grid system, right, which is going to cost every taxpayer money because the states are going to force you to pay for those grid systems for companies to run their AI data centers off of, all these new computer upgrades that they need for the internet, right? Like all of this stuff pulls power, and not only power, they pull water, right? And the same thing they're doing with carbon credits, they're doing with water credits, okay? They have water credits just like they have carbon credits. So these AI power plants can go to a third world nation and say, we built a dam and saved a gajillion gallons of water this year. So that allows us to spend and use all of America's underground reserve waters with no penalties or fees because on paper they claim to be, replenishing or, repurposing this water. But at the same time, they're just killing a lot of our local natural resources, right? And with no preparation or plans on how to sustainably do this for the next 25, 30, 50 years, right? They don't even look at that far. They're like 2 years into the future and that's it. And that's what's going to kill us is our lack of foresight.
Yeah, well said. I want to throw a question out there if I can. As you were talking about the fraud in the systems and the rest, for some reason I've been thinking lately a lot about the idea of can we identify or can I measure, whether it's for myself or larger, that the inability to opt out of whether it's your local energy, whatever it might be, it seems these structures are getting, it's either more and more impossible or cost prohibitive to opt out of anything. The easy answer is yes, it's a mechanism of control, but is it an area that maybe that's where additional investment needs to go in balancing things out to make it easier or more equivalent in one way or another to opt out of these things if that's just within somebody's belief system.
Well, the only way you're going to be able to opt out of it is if your government put in an option for you to opt out, right? They'll give you, instead of opt-outs, right, they normally do soft drops like they're doing now with carbon control, right? So what we're building out right now with the energy structure is not only the ability to fraudulently print our own money with energy under our citizens, utilities that we're paying for with our taxes, but it also has to come with the fact that they want carbon credits, right? Scores. Okay. So what the EPA announced under Burset is that they're pushing out UBIs this year. I think they start on the 12th. And they're pushing UBIs out in 133 different zip codes, and they're going to give $1,000 to everybody in those zip codes that signs up, opt in to a digital ID and carbon allowance tracking. And so the EPA is teaming up with the states that are putting on these UBI programs to build out a database on basically, the poorest people that are going to sign up for this. And then they're going to voluntarily have a digital ID and a carbon credit tracking system that allows the government to put a baseline together for carbon credit allowances. And so that's what's coming next to the planet, because the Chinese social credit score was a beta test. And I've been saying that, for 10 years, right? And if you didn't know, China doesn't even have a social credit score anymore because they got rid of it, right? It wasn't ever called a social credit score. It was called the social credit system. And now that system has been disbanded as of 2021, and they're actually moving into carbon allowances. And so that's the end game for the World Economic Order, is to build out carbon allowances for everybody, and then you will have to, buy and trade offset credits to be able to travel, to be able to go on vacation, to be able to go to a football game, to be able to go to the next city, just to work. You're going to be paying eating, right? I'm sure if you live in Canada, you notice that all your menus have a carbon, thing saying this is 3 carbon credits, or this is 3 carbon footprint, or 12 carbon footprint, or vice versa, because this is what's getting. You see that in America products also right now, that they're putting carbon labels on them, right? Because this is the end game market. I want to say 2027, 2028, when they start unleashing, a security system on Americans that nobody sees coming, because nobody's ever heard of a carbon allowance.
Rance, earlier you were talking about building out the infrastructure horizontally versus vertically. That's a new concept to me. What did you mean by that?
All right, remember, I'm not an expert in this shit, right? This is just conferences that I've went to, listened to speakers, and this is what they've said, okay? So from what I understand, it has to do with solar flares, okay? And when the solar flares hit the United States, they normally travel like east to west or west to east, okay? Which is straight aligned with our vertical grid, right? Or our horizontal grid. And so what happens is it blows out converters as it's passing through, with no way for them to divert that energy anywhere else, okay? But I guess the cool thing is with horizontal lines is that as the energy goes, you don't have to beat it left to right. What you have to beat it is moving it up or down. So as a solar event hits America and it hits the East Coast and travels to the West Coast, all right, they can actually move the energy power from the north to the south and actually save converters from being blown up in the event of a massive solar storm, which is apparently one of our biggest threats to our energy grid right now, are actually solar storms. I didn't know that, but it was a fun food for thought, right? And so what I looked into is the fact that not only are they moving forward with this, but the way they did it was super sneaky. So instead of creating monopolies in the energy section, okay, they call them coalitions. Okay, so they're all basically subpar their own independent power producers, right? And not only the power producers, but the grid line owners, right? The substation owners, they're all owned by different people and maintained by different people. And so this is what allowed us to have competition and healthy energy rates for a long time, because all of these people were competitive, right? Well, once they stopped being competitive and joined into a coalition, they all started to agree on price hikes and tax increases to get the government for these states to pay, subsidies or finance them on their projects. And when they got them all together, that's when you started seeing the corruption happen, because now they're, working together as a team instead of independent competitors to give you the best price at the best rate at the best quality. And so that kind of concerns me, because they were able to grab like 3,000 different small utility providers and link them together to build out these horizontal lines, but in a way that I think is just deceptive, right? I love the fact that they're looking at, new things to do it, but not at the cost of failed infrastructure projects that they've already stole from us, right? And so to me, if this was profitable, okay, then the company itself would pay for everything, right? Why would a taxpayer have to come in and build out all of your infrastructure if your business model was already profitable?
Yeah, I mean, there's a limited amount of transformers too. There's a lot of, need for them in Ukraine when they're getting blown up by Russians. So some of them we end up selling and moving over there, but we need more for ourselves.
Yeah, I'm America first, bro. So I'm like, fuck Ukraine, fuck China, fuck Israel. I want all these transformers for me. I want to take them back to my house, and I want to stockpile them. I want to sit on them, and I don't know. I'm not quite an isolationist yet, but I'm tired of all the bullshit. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of them just continuously gaslighting us. All right, like, be real with us. Tell us what's true. If we're gonna build an empire, don't lie to us. Just be like, hey, we're building out the southern states of America and the southern hemisphere. Okay, I don't know, right?
I'm all for Ukraine protecting the world from Russia so far.
Well, I think that we should be teaming up with Russia. Okay, real talk. Okay, if Russia and Alaska and the United States teamed up, dude, we would own the entire world, because China and Russia do not like each other. All right, they just have a common enemy that they hate more than each other right now, and that's us. All right, and if our biggest threat is China, with China's stealing our military and building out these military structures, then why aren't we trying to get with Russia and just own all the oil on the planet? Because if we got with Russia, now that we got Venezuela, all right, we would own the world's oil reserves for a millennia.
Yeah, I didn't see any problem with Russia at all prior to the Ukraine situation. I don't see how Ukraine is defending us from Russia in the slightest.
Not at all. And then you're gonna have to explain to me where these trillions of fucking dollars went. You know what I mean? Like, I want receipts.
Yeah, I'm just more concerned with all the money that's being siphoned out of our economy and put into a losing war in the Ukraine.
Yeah, mostly
300 million there, 500 million there.
Europe. And Europe's starting to pay for their part now, which has been needed for a long time.
Just smells like a big money laundering operation by rich people that the poor are suffering. That's kind of, to me, I think of Major Smedley Butler, the guy that stopped the coup of the American government back in the day. He wrote a great book, something to the tune of "All War is a Racket."
Right, because honestly, we see all the money that goes out. But what you're not seeing is the how it comes back into the rich people.
Oh, I am seeing that. That's why I'm calling shenanigans on the whole Ukraine debacle. It's a bullshit money laundering circus.
Yeah, I'd say it's the S&P, bro. You know what I mean? Look at the stocks prices go up, right? Every time they print money, stocks go up. Everybody thinks they're getting richer, right? But how are you getting richer when the stocks go up, when they're just inflating the value, right? If
the
stocks go up
1% are making the money,
and they print 9%, then we didn't make
the
any
one
fucking
percenters
money.
are making that money. The guy who can afford to buy all the grain because he has $50 billion at the top is making that money.
Here's been my opinion. If you have no money in the stock market, you should be praying for it to crash. That's the way I look at it.
I posted a really funny video that I thought was funny, but it starts off with, what do you do when life hands you lemons?
I make margaritas.
My wife said the same thing, but a 1%er would tell you that you don't make margaritas. What you do is you go out and you get all the influencers, right? And you have them push lemons. Okay. You get Dr. Oz to start pushing lemons as a toxin depository, supplement, because everybody hates toxins, right? Then after you got everybody hooked on lemons, you go and you create some genetically, altered tit looking, lemons, and then you go and you put them out in the wild, and then you sue the farmers when that genetic code ends up on their farm, and then you turn around, you purchase all this shit for pennies on the dollars, and then after and only then you have conquered the lemon market, right? And then you go ahead and make a margarita.
Yeah, that's exactly what Monsanto does. They did that with corn.
Lemons fight
and
global
lima
warming.
Beans and potatoes, and there's not a fucking seed out there, heirloom, a natural seed heirloom anymore that is not genetically altered just a little bit, right? And that's what the fucked up thing is that they just genetically altered it to look a different way so they could patent it, own it, and sell it, right? Like that to me, that's the greatest theft of humanity.
Yeah, there was a time when you couldn't patent life.
Right, that's why there's a giant seed vault in Finland now with the original seeds, so that we never lose the source seeds.
It's been there a long time.
Yeah, but they're never going to repopulate with us, you know? That's why they're so afraid of hemp, right? That's why you see hemp
I'll be
getting attacked
long
across
gone by
the
the time they even
planet.
do it.
Because hemp is the only naturally growing resources that actually fertilizes and detoxinizes all those lands. So if I was going to take lima beans right now and try to go plant lima beans in that soil that they have currently that plants and grows lima beans, my seeds wouldn't grow because that dirt is so basically controlled, you know, that it only grows one seed and that seed specifically. And the only thing to fix that is by planting 3 crops of hemp over that farmland and replenishing and reneutralizing that soil. And that's why they have a hard on for killing all the hemp. And it's not because of the products it produces, it's because of how clean it makes the land afterwards.
Yeah, I worked in irrigation in the Salinas Valley for years, and I got to see the soil. I got the soil report. I got how much of everything, potassium, everything in there, nitrogen. We're adding stuff all the time to get the right chemical balance.
Yes.
Hey, Eric, good talk.
Go ahead.
I enjoy your space. Everybody should repost Eric's space. Get
Thank
in
you,
here,
sir.
share it, and comment. Leave a comment, requote, post it, and you guys have a great day. And I'll catch you later. Gene, it was great to see you again.
Hey, Rance, just before you bail out, just because I know you're hard to get a hold of, I am totally interested in that piece of audio equipment that you had mentioned yesterday. So keep me in the loop.
I'm on that for you right now. I will go pull it up and find it.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, I had the benefit of actually meeting Rance face to face yesterday. It was a wonderful communication, and then we went and sat in on that independent media event, and boy, was it a farce.
Yeah, good local networking for you.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good dude, and he's a fountain of information for so much stuff going on up here in Alaska. He's very well networked, in a way of being the guy that how do I put this? Because I'm not saying it negatively. I like it. He's the guy that when he walks in the room, everybody's like, "Oh, son of a bitch, Rance is here." Like he hits him with the hard questions, and I think that's great. I forget who said the quote, but it's all it takes for bad people to win is for good people to do nothing. And I've always loved that quote. So Rance to me is a good person who's doing something, and people may criticize him and stuff like that, but at least he's doing something. He's very involved locally with events that are going on, and I mean I recommend everybody needs to do this in their own communities. Like, go put your local folks' feet to the fire. Like, pressure them, ask the hard questions, find out how smart or not smart these people are that are running these programs, and it's time to put the pressure on. All of the things that he brought up are very serious dilemmas for our freedom. As Gene knows, there's massive machinery that's already been constructed to control the lives of the average mortgage payers. And if we don't do stuff to fight to get that control back, the disparity between the haves and the have-nots is going to continue to grow exponentially. We're already losing this battle. Like, that's observable. So doing nothing accomplishes nothing 100% of the time.
Yeah, a fellow Irishman of ours, Edmund Burke, the philosopher Edmund Burke from Ireland, originally stated that in the 1800s.
There you go. I am the worst at giving appropriate credit to quotes that I like. Hell, I'm not even good at getting the words correct sometimes, let alone giving appropriate credit. Odds are I'll say something like, a great man once said, and then somebody will jump in and be like, that was the lady that said that? And I'm like, my bad.
You know, it's just terrible because, you know, Irish philosophers really don't get any credit at all. So I figured I'd step up for us.
Oh, it'd make my grandmother proud to hear you say that, Par. She came in on a boat through Ellis Island, straight from Ireland to New York. Yeah, the infrastructure and the energy producers, distributors, and stuff, they have us very much in a stranglehold. And it's interesting what Rand's pointed out, you know, that most people are paying attention to gas prices, but not necessarily, you know, the cost of the energy for running their household. I'm curious if anybody in the room has been paying attention.
I learned long ago not to rent anywhere where the utilities are not all included.
Yeah, fair enough. I wonder if anybody else in the room has noticed their household utilities going through the roof. It looks to me like you're trying to talk, Gene, but I can't tell. Oh, I'm getting a request. Let's see who's coming in here. Dun, 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 dun. Approved. Oh, I thought I hit approve. Let's try that again. Things are bouncing around. Got a couple more folks coming up. Oh, yeah, looks like we lost Gene.
Yeah, looking at the dashboard, we got 9 slots open.
There you go. If anybody wants to request the mic, come in, throw their 2 cents in. Good morning, folks. Oh, we got Krista with her hand up, so fire away.
Hey, so appreciate listening again today. I listen a lot. I'm raising 3 boys to be men here in North Dakota, and we just moved to a new house in July, and so I just grabbed my electric bill, and $5 for on demand. I don't know where other people are, but like I feel like that is very high for on demand, and that was in December, and in January it's going up to $9.95 for on peak demand. And so I've only been with Capital Electric for a couple months, and I do plan on like finding out about their board and stuff and getting more involved. But my Capital Electric for the month of December was $180. And I feel like normally, like in the summer months, and in the summer months, we only were here a couple months, but it was usually $80 to $90. So
I would also look at their competitors and see if you can get a competitor to get your juice from.
Do places even have competitors anymore?
Yeah, they don't. Here in North Dakota, we have very few options, MDU, and I have to have MDU too. So like Capital, it's weird because it depends on where you live in the city, depends on what is available to you as well. So
yeah, I know.
I'll have to look into it more.
When I grew up on Long Island, there was no competition for power or natural gas. Same thing here in Alaska. So I imagine a lot of people are in a similar circumstance.
Yeah, I'm here on the South Jersey coast, and it's like we got wind farm competitors, all kinds of solar competitors. They were trying to build a wind farm out in the ocean here.
Yeah, I don't think most people have that available.
Right.
Yep, not very many options at all. Like Rance was, I mean, honestly, with everything, there's just not that many options.
Man, it's almost like a controlled monopoly. Like price fixing might be involved.
Hey, good morning, Eric.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to the speaker panel.
Hey, just want to say, been following you for a little while, and I don't come up as much as I used to, but I love how you control the room and keep it organized, and it's not a fest of he said, she said about the other groups on the in the other rooms and spaces. I really appreciate that, what you're doing, and every day seems like a great new topic, and I love to listen in.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I got sick and tired of the drama myself, so I just imagine that there has to be folks like me also that would like to have, adult conversations, I think of it like it's like showing up to, Thanksgiving dinner, and sometimes you get caught at the kids, table at the end, and you just wish you were at the adult table. So I think when I first jumped into X Spaces, I, unbeknownst, wound up placing myself at the kids' table, and then realized I could simply get up, leave, and set my own table.
Absolutely, that's hilarious. That is great.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Because I see you sometimes on the Bomber Report, Military Matters, on that space.
Oh, you talking about me or Eric?
You, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a co-host there.
Oh, okay, very good. Yeah, my daytime is spent, of course, with keeping people up to date with what's going on terrorist-wise in the States and around the world. But one of my passions, obviously, is the UFO community. And, I try to go into some rooms, listen in, and the minute I hear the kid table start speaking, man, I get the hell out of there. But what I was going to say, Eric, is with regards to what you're talking about today, I got my electric bill about 3 or 4 days ago, and my electricity literally doubled. Me and the wife are now empty nesters. We have about it's a nice house, about a 3,000 square foot house on a few acres out in the middle of nowhere. And we're on a power co-op, and the entire house, unfortunately, is powered on electricity. We have no gas, no other utilities. We're on geothermal. And my latest bill was about $800, and about had a heart attack when I thought.
I mean, at that rate, you could just get yourself a freaking propane generator and probably just start producing your own electricity. It'd be cheaper.
Exactly. I've got a bunch of those, makeshift solar battery generators that I've put together, and it's tempting to maybe put my own damn windmill up, at least to power my barn. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was about $800, and I understand January and December. We had a cold snap here in December that was down around zero for maybe 10 days or so, but it's just unbelievable.
Just in the big picture of my curiosity, what do you have for a heating system in your home?
It's geothermal. The name of the system, I couldn't tell you. I didn't put it in or anything like that. But we've got a field out in the back part of our property that has about 8 runs, and it's, I think, 3 layers thick. The deepest down is probably about 16 to 24 foot. And then there's a mid layer, and then the shallow layer is probably about 8 foot deep, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. So then you're pulling the heat from the ground, but then when it gets to the house, there's going to be some sort of a heat exchanger. So then do you have like baseboard that gets warmed up, or does it go to a hot air system? Like how does it transfer into the home?
It runs through an HVAC. I think there's a converter, like you said. I just replaced motor on it about a month ago, and that was about a $800 purchase for the motor. And the motor is what I've been told about the main, issue that could go wrong with them. So the system itself was new in, I think, 2008 or 9. That's about when the house was built. And so we've been band-aiding it along. If it does completely go on the blink and needs replaced, I'm almost tempted to replace it with a regular HVAC and AC unit, because the geothermal also does the air conditioning in the summertime. And the house is always, perfect, comfortable temperatures, but relying 100% on electricity, as a person with my background and my career, it just kind of creeps me out having to think that way.
Yeah, totally understood. It's wild that monthly bill got that high. That's crazy.
I was transferred to this area probably about 15 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. And this bill is the highest one thus far. I've had several approaching 800, and usually that's when, the kids were still here and we're doing 15 loads of laundry, 6 times a week, and the Christmas lights are up, and, every light in the freaking house is on 24/7, it seems like. And those bills were, in the 700s, and traditionally January, December are the 2 worst months. But yeah, December knocked it out of the park this year.
Any recollection of what that bill was when you first arrived at that property?
Yeah, I do, because it was annoying then in December and January. Then when we first arrived, we probably had a couple in the 700s. But that said, since the kids are off to school and it's just me and the wife, as an example, our November bill was 400, which
Gotcha.
I was happy at 400.
Yeah,
and
right.
then December,
Relatively
800.
speaking.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so that's where we're at here. And, again, like I say, it creeps me out that the whole entire house is electric. We do have a one fireplace and a gas fireplace, and the barn is all oil and propane. So that's not really an issue out there, but it sucks when the power goes off, man. People out here are going to wake up.
Yeah, I just straight up feel like you could just run your house off of a generator and save a fortune and be off grid and, self-sufficient. Get a nice big old honking propane tank and call it a day. Or oil.
Absolutely. Anyway, I just wanted to pop up here, introduce myself to you. I like what you're doing. I don't know if you've snooped around on MySpace at all, but my background is not like yours, but it's similar. I'm a witness. You're a whistleblower. I understood as being a witness and throughout my career that should I speak of it, I'm fucked. And I enjoyed my career too much to fuck it. You know what I mean? So kudos for you for speaking up. Maybe one day I'll speak up, but if you ever have a chance, I'd be happy to send you 1 or 2 of my books. And the first book that I wrote is a fiction, but everything in the book is true. And I think you'll be able to relate to it.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've had my information so far sewn into what I just have to call 3 works of fiction also. And then I often wonder, I don't even know if technically the term whistleblower is appropriate for me. I've recently come across some folks, I guess similar to yourself, where the appropriate term may be witness also. I'm not 100% sure. That's legalese that my plumbing brain doesn't necessarily get required to have to wrap its brain around. So it's, I guess, in one breath, semantics.
That's awesome. You know, when I was wrapping up my career, I knew I wanted to write, and you know, I thought, all right, I've been holding on to this forever. Maybe I'll write about this. And DOPSR and DHS also has a process you have to go through. There was no way I was going to be able to do it, and so there's another guy out there that I'm acquainted with. I want to say his name, but he's a best-selling author with multiple books out there. Was a former Navy SEAL, and I talked to him, and he goes, "Dude, I'm telling you, just write it as a fiction. They won't even look at it. They'll rubber stamp it. Just don't include anything that you've signed NDAs on." And I'm like, Roger that. And so I did. And the first book seemed to, it's a little slow when you first start reading it. But as you get into it, you're going to go, you know what? Yeah, I remember this. I remember that. Fuck yeah, this is all spot on. And I've been told that it, you know, is pretty darn accurate too. So
Nice. Well, I mean, kudos for you to for moving the ball forwards.
all right, thanks for having me up here real quick. And
Yeah, you got
like
it.
I
Thanks.
say,
Thanks for being an avid listener. That's appreciated. Also, I
and
need all the
Par,
help that I can get.
absolutely, Par, I appreciate you, what you do out there. Daz, I
Absolutely.
see Daz down there. I love listening to his stuff. And I apologize if some of you guys others that are out there have spaces, and I don't recall them off the top of my head, but I sit in and I listen and I listen and I listen. Every now and then I perch up and speak, but I'm going to drop back down to listener, and y'all have a great weekend.
You too. I almost forgot. TGIF. That's a beautiful thing.
And Happy New Year.
And a happy new year. God bless us, everyone. I think one of the funniest things going is Daz in a cowboy hat. I'd love to see him in Texas all dressed up like a Texan, but talking all that funny UK talk. That'd be good stuff.
Yeah, nothing funnier than the cowboy with a South London accent.
Right? I don't know how many people are old enough in here to remember that old song, Rhinestone Cowboy. But I just think of taking those lyrics and just switching up to like, I'm a UK cowboy. Daz could pull it off. Big old belt buckle, 10-gallon hat, vest. He wants to do it. So one time I was in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York, and there was a gas station, and I think I was probably stopping to get coffee or something, and it was like a brand new gas station, middle of freaking nowhere. I walk inside, there's nobody around. The guy behind the counter was an Indian guy from India, not like a Native American, but an Indian guy from India in New York, and this guy was dressed up like a rhinestone cowboy, and he had the crazy Indian accent, and I walked in, and the guy looked at me. He was beaming, grinning ear to ear, and he looks at me and he goes, "Howdy, y'all." And I was dying laughing. I was like, this guy is living his American dream. Like, he wanted to come to America and be a cowboy, and he's doing it. And I was like, I was dying. I was like, this is fantastic. Howdy, y'all.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I won't be trying to do the American accent, especially not as the Texas accent and the Southern. I love listening to them, but I can't speak like that.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you trying to fit in New York, too. If you could try to, yo, give me some awesome coffee. Yo.
Awesome coffee. Awesome coffee. I'm trying, but it doesn't sound like you or AJ. You two are the ones that just sounded the most New York on this app.
Oh, AJ's got me crushed at this point. I've been out of New York for too long. Like even like when I listen to AJ now, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's got a New York accent.
But I'm surprised I don't come across more New Yorkers on this app then, because he sounds very distinct, you know. And all of the other Americans, there's a lot of Southerners on here.
Yeah, when I hear AJ, it reminds me of home. That's the way I would look at it. Like it's like, oh yeah, I know what he's talking about. There's a cadence to it too. It's not just the accent; it's the cadence of the delivery.
New Yorker true go-getters, aren't they, Eric?
I think for the most part, you know, they call it how they see it.
How have you been today then? I don't have that long, but I remembered, Eric's time for his space, so let me just jump in and say hi.
Oh, you got it, Des. You're always welcome here. You know that. I love hearing your funny accent too. I like accents. I like being around folks that have accents for a period of time because I like to try to become better at impersonating them. It's fun to me. It's not a disrespectful thing. I don't know. To me, it's like flattery. You know, it shows that I care about how you sound enough to be able to copy it. I remember you trying to teach me how to say Daza correctly, and I don't seem to have ever been able to pull it off to meet your standard.
I mean, you said it kind of okay there. It's just, I think the Americans were saying it like really slow, like Daza, Daza, and it's like, no, it's just like Daza. It kind of has to flow off the tongue, and too many Americans were just getting it wrong. So I just had to just change it to Daz because I just didn't like how it was sounding.
There you go. If I was from Texas, I'd say, we got Dazzer.
That sounded like Texas, yeah. Where's Wolf today? No Wolf? And who's the other one? Gene?
Gene was here earlier. He's here and gone already. Wolf usually shows up on the tail end, which we're getting into the second half of the show, Daz. So maybe he'll show up today, or maybe he's just having a wonderful time somewhere in Canada, enjoying his being a subject of the crown.
Yeah, in the 80s when I was talking with English hackers, it was funny when they had an accent, even when they're writing. When they say in it, they write INNIT.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah. Funny, innit? I'm also noticing that the European folks, they don't say the TH like we do. They say it like an F. You know, it's not the truth. It's the truth. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, that sounds very New York, Eric.
When we say truth with a TH.
That used to be called Ebonics.
Oh, that's a whole different thing. That's what it makes me. Oh, what the hell is that movie? Airplane. When they had that scene and the lady was like, "Oh, don't worry, I speak jive." I think of Ebonics as like street talk.
Yeah, that was an awesome scene.
That's like the old school New York early rap days when people were
jive.
Breakdancing.
Jive.
We don't fight in the streets anymore. We breakdance battle. Those were the
that was the same in San Francisco too. I'd walk out there and I'd see by the pier, like by Pier 31, people would break dancing all the time, have their cash coin cans out.
Then they started making movies about it. Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo. I think definitely in most of the spaces that I host that we have the older crew showing up, so to say. But then sometimes there's some more youthful folk, and it always amazes me. Like, I feel like a dinosaur now. The stuff that, like, I don't know. I just thought that, like, there's so many times I say stuff that I just presume everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it cracks me up. I'm like, all right, never mind. I'm
I
just that old guy
turned
now.
double nickel. I just turned double nickel on the 5th.
There you go. Well, I still remember growing up when my father would say, like, to someone, like, you know, drop me a dime if you want to talk. And I don't think anybody, like, it was old back in the day when he said that, you know, and I don't think anybody would even comprehend that nowadays. Drop me a dime. It's a reference to payphones costing a dime for anybody out there that has never seen a payphone or could imagine that something cost a
if
dime.
you ever paid for them. I never paid for them.
That's because you were a digital con man, Par.
Not a con man, just a criminal.
Fair enough. You were just conning Ma Bell. We used to do the fake collect call stuff all the time, where you would just, you know, say like, "Hey, Ma, pick me up."
Yes, 100%, Eric. And you guys got to keep talking though. It was great having rants in today. I see such a division on spaces, and it's hard for me. You know, I stay at home with the boys, and then I usually get, you know, about 2 hours out where I'm intertwining with public. And it's like the stuff that I have learned on here is just absolutely mind blowing. But how do it's so hard. Like my mom, you know, she's starting to wake up, you know, by seeing like the food pyramid and the vaccine, just different things that I've rebutted on raising my boys, because I've, you know, questioned now, I don't know, probably 10 years, like what the heck is going on, you know, I'm 45. So seeing, you know, like my friends go one way where they're under the control and the indoctrination, and me putting my foot down, you know, after working 8 years as a paramedic and 7 years for the state doing wildland firefighting. Like I seen that there was no way out of the system. And it's like, I appreciate you guys sharing the history, because honestly, in school, I did not pay attention. I am a more hands-on experience type gal. And so I'm bringing my family back to the roots, and I really appreciate you guys sharing so much history and knowledge. So thank you for having this coffee talk every day.
You got it. I'll continue to do so until I get a job again, because I'm just filling time. But trying to find work. It's rough being a whistleblower and being blackballed, but it just is what it is. Krista, I did see the comment that you wrote about where can I find the books you wrote to read? First and foremost, I did not write them. I've yet to write a book. It's on my to-do list. But the 3 books, one of them is called Heller's Tale, an Antarctic novella written by David Pablo Cohen. Another one is called Lion, Tiger, Bear, written by John Warner IV. And then there's another one called... what is that? I think it's called A New Human Race, and there's 2 authors. One is Crystal something, and the other one is like Dolphin something, like fake names to, you know, hide who they are. But if I remember correctly, I did a post showing all 3 of those books that I put on my page recently, so it shouldn't be that far back, and you should be able to find those 3 books.
Can you follow back?
And I would recommend them. They're great reads. What do we got going on with the new speaker, Stephanie?
Eric Jake, can you follow back?
What?
Can you follow back?
Can I follow back? No.
Why?
Why would I?
Yeah, those are earned, not just given.
Yeah, right. A fake picture is supposed to be enticing, I guess.
I'm not fake.
Sounds like it to me. Guess who smells trash that has entered the room? Is it time to take out the trash?
Very funny.
Here it goes. Garbage truck is coming. Beep, beep, beep. Dun, 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 dun. Problem solved.
Yo, so
And boom, the trash is out. So
no, do you know what? He was teaching me this concept, isn't it? I think it was last Friday where the room that I was hosting started to stink.
Yep.
And then he just flew up on the stage and he's like, Dad, remember what I was telling you about needing to empty the trash? And it was literally like a virtual slap around my face. I was like, oh, okay. And then I just immediately threw the person down, didn't I?
Yeah, and Des, I'm really happy that you appreciated the effort because sometimes people get cross when you give unsolicited advice. So I was trying to help out. I'm glad you appreciated that, and I'm glad that this person just did what they did, just so that as a perfect living example. I practice what I preach. I afford people the opportunity to show their worth. And I know a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't be judgmental. No, absolutely we should be judgmental. That's how you get by in life, by making judgment calls. Everything's a judgment. I judge everybody constantly. It's up to them to show the value of their situation. And I can certainly, I judge everybody all the time.
It also takes time for us to get to know the characters, the personalities, what they stand for, what they will tolerate,
To a point,
someone
but
that you don't know.
People can also show their true colors immediately. First impressions do matter, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with taking your experience and applying it liberally when somebody shows up and comes at you cross. I mean, do you really have to sit there and be like, well, I need to understand why this person's treating me poorly? No, you just go, they're treating me poorly, and I don't deserve that, nor should I tolerate it. That's fair.
Yeah, it's totally fair. I mean, I feel like just to come up and ask someone like you to follow them back, and you clearly didn't know them, I knew it was just.
It's ridiculous to even. It's ridiculous to fire off as that's your first thing. I mean, come on.
That's why I had to go. Those are earned, not given.
Yeah, I mean, just even asking the question, like, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's beyond having to tolerate. I mean, I think of it as like if I walked up to you in the street, like you're walking down the street, you're on the way to the gym, and I walk by and I smack you in the face. Do you go, why did you do that? Are you having a bad day? Please explain to me everything about who you are and why I shouldn't judge you right now. If we just treated the digital realm like we would reality, I mean, let's be honest, people, they get away with murder in these spaces because we're supposed to have some different level of decorum here than if we were in reality in a bar sitting next to a stranger. People wouldn't engage this way, and people wouldn't tolerate this stuff. You're a nice person, Daz, but in the spaces when people start yelling and being all cross and stuff like that, I don't really believe that if somebody walked up to you in the street and started treating you that way, that you would be as tolerant.
But they don't really yell at me though, Eric. They kind of yell at each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they're yelling at me, trust me, I can shut them down.
Okay.
But it's like when they start yelling at each other, there's a part of me that's like, okay, maybe I need to let it play out.
Okay, well, let's make a more proper analogy. If you were having a party at your house and all your guests started going at each other, I don't think you would sit there and be like, well, let's see how this pans out.
That's true. So maybe what it is a bit of conditioning where you go into all of these spaces and it's just a shit show. Sorry to swear, and it just seems to be acceptable that this is the behavior, and not just in, like, say, the UFO community, in a number of communities. A lot of hosts seem to um, engagement farm through the drama, and
Absolutely.
one of those. I'm not one of
Absolutely.
those people, but if some of those accounts are in my space and that's what they're used to, it's hard to be like, okay, well, you're not going to do this in my space. Like, if I get on with them, it's a real fine line. It's a hard balance. It's not easy.
I would suggest that it's easier than you might think, and it is. A practice makes perfect situation. There's a lot of people that you see that I go to their spaces, right? And we're connected. They used to come to my spaces until I told them, don't act like you're in your space. This is my space. Like, do whatever you want in your space, engagement farm, clickbait, tolerate the drama, do it all day long in your space. But if you're going to be in mine, I'll fucking bounce you out so fast for being a freaking, engagement farmer. It's not enjoyable. To me, it's like watching teenage girls bicker.
No, it's not enjoyable for a lot of people, isn't it? And I think we need more spaces like yours that is just more level-headed, to be fair.
Yeah, I believe there's tons of people that want to have adult conversations and learn stuff. I mean, one of my favorite things about Wolf is, like, every day that Wolf shows up, I learn at least one new word. I love that shit. I really do. Sorry for cursing, Daz. It's my New York plumber filth mouth.
I'm okay with that. I'm gonna have to shoot now though, because I've got a call that I have to make in 5 minutes. So I have to just get ready for it. But if you're still open, I'll try and jump back. It shouldn't be a long one, but I've got to get Eric. Okay.
You got it, Daz. Always a pleasure. I hope your call goes well.
I sent you the link for the Friday space if you're around, pass through. So, like, UFO lore and stuff like that. So.
Oh,
nice
excellent. I'll try to make it. I'm supposed to have
what that is.
I'm supposed to have a chat with Gene later on off public line, so to say, about some of the stuff he's figuring out with his father-in-law. So if there's no conflict, I'll make it a point to try to join in.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see you. All right, take care.
Enjoy, Daz.
Yeah, it's still about 45 minutes until the lounge opens for dinner, so I got time.
There you go. Nice.
Want my filet mignon.
Friday night filet. That's good to go. What do you get for the sides with it?
They have a really good mashed potatoes that are really buttery, and also they have they put some Philadelphia cream cheese in that, and I love that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm already starting to get hungry on my end. So once we start talking about food, it's usually a downhill spiral. I think I'm going to make an omelet this morning when I get off.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, as you know, I'm always going out. I'm never at my apartment. I'm always...
Oh, don't apologize.
I'm always at the resorts.
I admit I'm envious
of
your
I'm entitled.
Your gallivanting lifestyle. I did get lucky last night when I went out to that event with Rance. They did have food available for the people that showed up to listen. So
Cool.
No shame in my game. I'm a frugal German. I have no problem with a free meal. Especially when it seems to have been provided by rich liberals. I was like, oh yeah, I'll take back a little bit of this.
When it's free, it's for me.
Absolutely. Oh, and the really cool part was there was, which I think is fantastic, because it was served buffet style, and there was a lot of food that wasn't consumed. So the hosting facility brought out to-go containers so that people could load up, which I was like, that's awesome. I loathe the idea of food being thrown out. So I absolutely grabbed some stuff to take home. Again, no shame in my game when it comes to free food. I like that Krista's got the fist bumps there. She's got 3 boys. I'm sure she would love for copious amounts of free food to show up. I can only imagine what it costs to feed 3 growing boys nowadays.
Yeah, I've lived here 3 years, and I've never cooked a meal in my apartment ever, not once.
Probably don't even own any pots and pans.
I do. Mostly for show, but if guests want to come over and cook, they can.
Krista, what's the age range on your Savage Eaters?
Yeah, I'm actually just cleaning the kitchen now because 2 of them were arguing this morning, and so the breakfast shake is all over the kitchen. Well, the grocery bill has went up a lot here in North Dakota, and I'm actually going to get a beef tomorrow, and for a half a beef, it was $1,600 put in the freezer. So that's I don't know. I have a hard time telling whether that's good or bad. Like, I feel like it's good, but I haven't seen the beef yet, and I heard it was a smaller cow. So I'm hoping, though, within the next 3 years that we will be out on the farm and we'll be raising our own beef. So that's the goal.
You guys have a deep freezer like the big kind in the back room with the top lid?
Yeah, we have 2 deep freezers. Like I said, we just moved, so they're in the garage, and I don't think that we have like any energy efficient or, stuff like if we were to lose power and stuff, I know like that we have a generator and I have some gas heaters because it is cold here. So, but yeah, right now we live in the city and would love to get out of here.
Yeah, I used to live in Northeast Iowa when I was little, and we always had that big one. Like anything I shot and my grandpa cleaned would go in that.
Yes, I love hunting. I'm from actually a small town in the southwest corner of the state. And then my family has some land in Montana on my dad's side. So, and I mean, I remember that too out on the farm. I mean, even when we go out there to visit, can I have turkey tonight or pheasant? Or it's just so many rights have been taken away from us. And when I really started to wake up, it was, well, working in the medical field and working for the state, but then having my own kids. I have twins. The twins are 9. And then I have a 5-year-old. Well, he's not 5 yet, but he acts like he's 7, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to stay at home with them. My husband's an electrician, and it was kind of always a goal that the day that I had kids, I wanted to be at home with them. So I guess at a younger age, it was always my goal to work. So when I was older, and I always wanted to be at home with kids, I guess. So I'm happy I get to do that. It's crazy busy. I'm also 5 years in recovery. February 5th will be 5 years. So I've been exposed to the system, and I've seen the system, and I want it different for my family. And it's really a big challenge when half of my parents are divorced. They divorced when I was in kindergarten. But it's really a challenge, like when one side of your family wants to go one way and the other side wants to go the other way. And, life, there's been, conflicts, losses in the last year. And so.
And good for you for still supporting the nuclear family, which we no longer really have in the United States anymore.
Yeah, my hat goes off to you for that, too. When I was a plumber doing service calls, going from home to home all day long, you get right in the middle of people's, family situations. And one of the things that you used to always enjoy, because you had brought up the twins, you know, and I appreciate twins are a handful, but I always tried to make my customers feel better because, you know, I'm showing up, they're having some sort of plumbing disaster, so they're already, you know, not having the best day. And then if they're having a plumbing disaster and they have twins, I appreciate life is challenging, but trying to make them feel better both by alleviating the plumbing problem. I would then tell them stories about my sister-in-law whose first pregnancy, she had triplet boys. And then I would watch the parent of the twins look at me like, oh my God, like I'm so content with having my twins now to hear about it being triplets. Yeah, it's, you know, it's nice to, you know, realize sometimes that you don't have it as bad as you think and things could be worse, if that, you know, makes sense as far as being a soothing concept.
Yeah, 100%. I get it. I mean, everything I do is for them and my family. So, but I appreciate willing to listen and the information you guys share. I'm going to drop back down to listener. And thank you for mentioning those books the other day. And I did get all my questions answered. So, and thank you, 2020 Defense, for sending those and listening again tomorrow.
Oh, my error. I thought you were asking me about the books. So sorry about that.
Oh, no, because I wrote down those books too. I did have my hand raised. I was going to ask if 2020 Defense was one of those books that you listed, but I got it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you got it. I'm just laughing thinking about the triplet boys. I babysat them a few times, and it makes me laugh. Like, you know, normally when you go to somebody's house and they have, you know, teeny little infants and you show up to babysit, like there's a whole list of things and make sure you do this and make sure you do that and all that fun stuff. But when you show up to somebody's house that has triplet boys and you're going to babysit and they need to run out to do errands, there's no list. You knock on the door opens, 3 kids are thrown in your hands, and the parent just flies away like a lightning bolt. It's hilarious. Like, yep, good luck. Bye. I'm sure you have this covered. I just need peace and quiet. I'm out of here. And then the other funny part, which was maddening, was when we would have them overnight. At no point in time are all 3 kids asleep. I was losing my mind. It was like 2 would be sleeping, you're feeding 1, and then you go to put the 1 down, and you're like, oh yeah, they're going to be all 3 asleep. And then as soon as you put the 1 down, another one wakes up, and you're like, cut it out. You guys are doing this on purpose, aren't you? You guys do know how to talk to each other. I can tell something's going on. Like, this is coordinated chaos. Like, how can you all not be sleeping ever? Which made me understand why when the babysitter shows up, she just hands him off and skedaddles. It was a slight insight to what her days and nights were like. Good morning, Mr. Wolf. I hope you have coffee in hand. You missed earlier. We were conversing. I had met with Mr. Rance of Alaska. He and I met face to face yesterday during the day, and then we attended an event over here in Anchorage, which was supposed to be an event to promote independent news media. And it turned out to seem like more of a fundraiser for people that were looking to be bought by rich people to write stories for them. But it was very entertaining. It was almost like a comedy show. So it was like I went to a comedy event last night. Good stuff. We do have up, and Mr. Wolf is putting in a request. You are approved, sir. Which makes me, I should probably check. Forgot what I even put up in the nest today.
Yeah, if you wanted me to take anything down, I'll take mine down if you want.
Oh, yeah. Par, you know the drill. It's supposed to put it in the purple pill.
Yeah, I've got it there also.
Oh, you got it.
That way it survives the recording.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I use the Nest mostly, because my stuff's already posted on my page, so it doesn't need to, survive through the pill. But I did throw up in the Nest. There was a nice clip that Ashton Forbes had put up. Stan Deo talking about magnetohydrodynamics. Fantastic little clip there from back in the day.
Hey, I was wanting to ask Par. I see up in the above, he posted, here's a top secret Pentagon report showing the eventual breakdown of the thermohaline conveyor. Is that any way connected with pole shifts and what's...
That is connected with mostly changes in climate and things like that. The water will get, the warm water will stop flowing up from the Gulf Stream to the UK, and it will be getting colder there. This is an old report. I grabbed it before. The Pentagon classified it as top secret, and it is now available to you through my site. You just click on that and you download it.
Awesome. That's great. The book I'm working on now has to do with pole shifts and solar flares, and that caught my eye. I was just zipping through the above what Eric had put up there, and I clicked on it, and I'm like, okay, this could be interesting. This might be a cool rabbit hole to go down.
But yeah, there's been ice ages, so we don't know when the next one's coming, but it's been, I think, 11,000 years since the last one. So it could be anything with poles.
Have you followed Sun Weatherman and Ethical Skeptical and Zacharias and those guys?
Zacharias a little bit.
Yeah, that's a fascinating group too. It's scary. Some of the shit that they're claiming sounds, pretty darn accurate.
I know I'm way more concerned about global cooling than global warming if I had to pick a concern.
Right. Oh, I would be.
One's very tolerable and the other one is less
fruitful.
It'll
be like you'll be growing palm trees out there in Anchorage.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that I am the founder of Alaskans for Global Warming. So, do all that you can to help out.
These are all natural cycles the Earth goes through, by the way.
But we do have Wolf is here in the speaker panel once again. Good morning, Mr. Wolf. How you doing?
I'm well. Good morning. I heard mention of two names, Sun Weatherman and Ethical Skeptic. And what was it, 2020 who was mentioning those two? I wasn't paying attention to the screen.
Yeah, it was me.
You're familiar with the term spoor, yes? S-P-O-O-R, spoor?
Enlighten me. Words are my weapons, but that one is not ringing a bell.
Okay, if you're hunting, I'm not a hunter. I just know this because of the term. It's traces of something, physical traces of something. So dung or disturbed leaves or a footprint or a tuft of fur caught in a bramble bush and so on. Spoor, signs. Yes? Okay. I would encourage you to very carefully observe Sun Weatherman's different social media posts and his own website posts so that you can detect for yourself, and I'm not going to tell you what the spoor is. I'm going to leave that up to you. Please carefully observe his accounts for spoor. I would do the same thing with Ethical Skeptic.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm on board, but it certainly is a fascinating niche little corner that those guys are going down, and hopefully they're wrong, because if they're right, it's going to be brutal. But no, I pretty much approached that with every aspect that I do. I'm an evidence-based guy off of my career. I can't convict on non-facts, if you know what I'm saying. So
I'm not suggesting a conviction, and I'm not suggesting spoor as a trace of vetting their information. I won't say it publicly because I don't have evidence. I can only show you the spoor that tickled my spidey senses and my Scooby-Doo rut-row instincts. If you get the same hit back from Sun Weatherman's material, I'll talk about it then, but I'm not going to plant the idea in your head. I don't want confirmation bias. I would oh, the whole point behind that no one can be all good or all bad, and folks have conscious and unconscious biases, but people know how to use adaptive camouflage in presenting their sub rosa intentional effect in all of the mass of the other information they share. Both of those gentlemen share important scientific and technical and interpretive and analytical information, but they're still human beings with multiple agendas each. And I would just encourage you to read the signs that are plainly visible to see. I don't know if my double speak is working or not.
No, your double speak is spot on, and I do. And but that said, I still enjoy listening to them, if not for anything more than the drama of it. Sometimes it's fun to have a little drama in your day that isn't spaces related anyway. But no, I appreciate that, Wolf, and I've heard you out there, and I admire your level-headedness. I hear you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the kind words. And part of the level-headedness is performative in the sense that if you fake it long enough, like an actor on stage, or if you project it long enough, you'll eventually find yourself actually defaulting to that new cultivated habit. I used to be much less politic than I am now. And I'm trying to curb that irrational kind of, apophenia is the term I used with Eric, jumping from data point to data point to data point, thinking they're somehow related. This is a form of madness that is very easy to indulge in. The same thing goes with using circumstantial spoor, as it were, to make the kind of leaps I think I've been able to make with both of those gentlemen.
And I just want to say thanks for proving a point that I made earlier, Wolf. We were talking about you in the space in your absence, so I wonder if your ears were ringing and it drew you in. But that conversation was just to my appreciation that whenever you show up to a room, we learn a new word for the day. And it was fantastic because immediately upon entering, you gave us a new word for the day, spore. So that was fantastic.
I'll try to make that a habit.
I'm curious, was I the only one who didn't know what it was?
Oh, I didn't know what it was either. I've never, SPOOR, never heard of it, but fantastic. This is why Wolf rocks.
That's awesome. My entirety of my career, I've had to been a sledgehammer to just swing and break things, and then see where the pieces fall to. And so now I'm old, and I write books and try to keep people interested in far out topics. And so I appreciate it, Wolf.
Here's another word for you guys, and it's not in relation to anyone here. I don't want you to mistake this for double talk, right? I did that before. There's a word, unctuous, UNCTUOUS, unctuous. And it's the fancy, I think, Latin or Greek word for greasy. He's a greasy motherfucker, right? Now, that could just mean like he's an MC club member with poor hygiene, rotted teeth and greasy hair and black fingernail. That guy's greasy in a whole different way. But unctuous kind of means like Grima Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings, someone who, rubs their hands together and yes, you're the greatest. You make no mistakes. I love what you do. You can get a sense of that from some people when they speak, right? Lapdogs, brown nosers, ass kissers. But someone who's unctuous is not so cartoonishly, central casting ticket like that. They are a much more kind of subtle, almost like a confidence scheme. You don't realize that oil, that oiliness to them until it's had time to penetrate into the first few layers of your mind. And then you realize, oh, fuck, he's a greasy fucker.
I like that. I still think my favorite word so far from you is apophenia. And I feel like I would like to see, because it's so all over, but there should be like the Apophenia Awards for the year, where like the greatest apophenic tirade is recorded, and we all can get a good chuckle out of somebody just over connecting points. Like That I would watch it for. I would suffer the apophenia just to watch it for the laugh of the competition.
Why don't we make that a hobby project, a group hobby project? You've heard of the Darwin Awards. Why don't we try and do some sourcing for apophenia?
Oh, music to my ears, Wolf. Like this, because I think it would put on blast the problem as it exists. Yeah, the apophenia awards. Like who's the biggest lunatic of the year in that capacity?
$100 college words.
Apophenics Anonymous.
Yeah.
We can make up our own word there.
Oh, that's a good one. Hi, my name is Eric, and I'm an apopheniac.
My name is Lee, and I'm a sporist.
Nice.
And I'm pretty sure there were some college boys in 1950s Animal House movies raiding the girls' frats, seeking spoor.
Can I have permission to use both of those words in my next writings?
They're Oxford English Dictionary words, of course. Use away.
Just put in the bibliography provided by Wolf Aurelius.
No. Just please be sure you do your own due diligence on the meaning of the word, because I make mistakes. I'm pretty sure those words mean what I've explained. Don't take anything you hear on social media for gospel, please.
Wait a minute. You're not a perfect person, Wolf?
Words are weapons.
That's exactly right. There was a Scottish philosopher named Thomas Reid, and he said that the greatest impediment to learning in this world is the ambiguity of words. I think that's the quote.
And then we have the great band In Excess off of their album Kick, where they had the line, "Words are weapons, sharper than knives."
Yeah, if any of you, we've all been the subject of this, and we've all done it to someone else. Emotional abuse. And I don't mean horrendous, life-changing, permanently scarring abuse. I just mean disabusing someone of their unctuousness, right? You righteously unload 2 barrels of abuse at them to put them in their place. But then there's the much more sinister emotional abuse we tend to offer to family members and lovers and friends because we think no matter what, they'll forgive us. And that's not the case.
I had a ES level 1 during a briefing, made a comment, and I was always the guy that would write down whatever the funny comments were along the ways, and I would collect them. And at the end of, if I was instructing a class, like during the wrap-up time, we would, throw a few of those phrases out just for jokes. But I had one ES Schedule 1 say, we whiteboarded this, and I think what we're going to do is just go organic. And all of us in the room looked at each other like, what the fuck does that mean?
Oh, you have the ES level words, huh?
Yeah, basically that means we have no money, just get it done.
Flowery speech.
How to say we're not funding you in, complicated way.
How to say we're not funding you in 2 words or less.
Application denied.
Go scratch.
No money.
Yeah. Pound sand. That's what we use. But mostly that's computer forensic stuff.
F&Z often. Isn't this interesting?
9.
Someone
That would be
just
German
followed me.
efficiency. It's the denial, and it's only one word.
It's a good one too. But someone just followed me out of the blue. They're in, I don't know which space. They're not in this space. And they've got an SSRI headshot. They joined in July of 2024. It's unbelievable. I don't understand these people that come out of the woodwork.
What is an SSRI headshot mean?
Oh, her profile photo is she's a female. She looks like she has a Northern European or Caucasian ethnic background. And the headshot is her looking into the camera in kind of what looks like a track pants chic kind of, bedroom selfie moment. She looks to be about 30 on the wrong side, maybe on the wrong side of 30. And it's got that distant, fill me up with your personality blank look in her eyes. And it's just unbelievable.
So you're all up in her DMs already, is what you're saying, Wolf?
I'm thinking, Eric, I think it might be the person you booted.
Is her name Stephanie?
No, it says, that's it. I be cool be. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously worth engaging.
Remove.
Yeah, it's big. It's number, big, long bunch of letters, and.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because she followed me too.
Okay, now, Mr. Hudson.
I'm feeling left out.
Yeah, you got to be careful with some of these nutters. Now, apophenia is something I see exhibited in many of the UFO spaces. Someone will come on and say, I'm an experiencer and I've done this and my crystal that. And it's like they're at a smorgasbord, at a Chinese buffet. And, the more variety they have on the plate, the higher their status in the community.
Yes.
Or what they think of the community, right? Holy fuck, man.
Sometimes sometimes the connections, it blows my mind to just withhold saying things like, do you realize how insane you sound right now? Like I'm so glad that you put a word to this, because I didn't know how to define it, but I could observe the activity where someone's like, hi, I just want to tell you about my experience. When I was 7, I saw a UFO, and now I live at 7th Street, so obviously that confirms, and there's a gate in my fence, and I was in the gate program as a kid, so there's a confirmation. It's just like, it's pure lunacy. Like I hear mental problems, like not confirmations of anything whatsoever. It's so crazy. I can't even fake the crazy connections that I hear with great regularity. And it's a chain of things, it'll jump from the hemline in a dress to the type of car that they drive to a vacation that they took, and you're like, what? It's
a schizophrenic thing.
Yeah, it's like some sort of manic episode or something.
It is a form of mania. We're all subject to it because it is a hardwired feature of baseline human neurology. What is called pareidolia, where you observe, a face in the clouds, or a saint, in the burn pattern of your toast, or, some image of an elephant in the marbling on a floor, right? Humans have a natural predilection to put those facial type patterns together, and other patterns in general, because it provides a positive survival benefit in the wild. If you're looking for predators in the wild and they're striped or dun colored and they're in, leafy foliage, you might be able to make out a face or a limb, or you'd see something. But because we also now live in a cognitive terrain, an emotional terrain, a psychological terrain, that is now expressed in apophenia. It can be helpful, right? Which is why I use the term weaponized apophenia, because you can be gaslit, right? Perfect example of weaponized apophenia is seeing the number 33 everywhere. It's put out there on purpose to fuck you up, as well as part of an open yet coded communication.
Good point. And it just made me think regarding the apophenia. My grandfather used to always say, who's more foolish, the fool or the fool that follows? And when it comes to like apophenic rants. Like I'm already blown away at the lunacy of the individual. But then the thing that really blows my mind is when they finally punctuate their tirade, and then somebody will always chime in and be like, "Right, exactly. I know exactly how you." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like someone took that as awesome conversation and information. Like, how did that even happen? Like, I guess I'm the only one that thought this person was a lunatic. My bad.
Well, recall, Eric, back in the day when you were 14 or 15 or 16 or 18 or 20 or 25, trying to break out of the friend zone. You're sniffing after a little downstank for your hang low. You'll put up with a lot.
Good point. Yeah. Coolest story ever.
Beer goggles, but for the mind.
Yeah, truest story ever.
So when are we going to the drive-in? Well, I think looking at the clock and feeling my stomach and Par talking about freaking filet mignons on Fridays, I think I'm going to bag off, call it a day, and go make my breakfast omelet. As always, I enjoy these chats. Woof, thank you for the word of the day. 2020, thanks for jumping up. Par, always a pleasure. Oh, by the way, Par, it appears the $35 that you threw in my direction did show up. So,
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good since January 3rd. I gotten 10,000 in various checks from jackpots, so I will try to float more.
Good on you. No shame in my game. Everything helps. I do appreciate it. I was just more concerned with letting you know that it didn't disappear into the cosmos, because I'm learning how to set these systems up.
That worked.
Yeah, it worked. It functioned. So thank you, sir. And then Krista, have fun with the twins and the extra. Chris, thanks for joining in. Tom, always nice to see you. And everybody have an excellent day. I'll catch you on the flip side. Be well. And TGIF, have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
So long,
Thank you
guys.
for the space, Eric.